Hello and
Hello.
welcome to the Wall of Weird podcast. We're back.
Lisa.
We lost Lisa. She was here a minute ago. Don't know where she's gone now, but there you go. She'll be back. Don't worry. So yeah, it's been a while since we've talked some Smallville, but hey, 20 years.
We got to
20
talk
years.
Smallville on a Smallville podcast on the 20th
alive.
anniversary.
So yeah, the Smallville podcast, this Smallville podcast, Wall of Weird, has kind of become the Superman and Lois podcast in more recent times. But yes, it is the 20th year anniversary of Smallville. So of course, we're here to talk Smallville. We were going to do it yesterday, but we kind of figured, you know what? DC fandom being on and all that. Probably not the best time to put it on. So there she is. Right.
Hello, Lisa.
But we're here now anyway, and we've got a pretty good show lined up, I think. So what we're going to do is we are going to go through each season, and all four of us, are going to give you our number one episode of that season and our least favourite episode of that season. I'm sure some conversation will arise out of those choices.
Bound to. It's bound
to, yes.
I mean, it already happened off camera, so it's bound to happen on camera.
Yep. And in between each of those season discussions, where we're not discussing every episode of the season, we are literally just discussing the best and the worst. Durban. And then in between... in between each of those sessions, we will be doing our ranking. So we have ranked all 10 seasons. Now, here's how it happened. We didn't want to each give all four of our separate rankings because we'd be here till stupid o'clock in the morning, and we don't want that. So we wanted one definitive Wall of Weird podcast ranking. And what we've done is I have taken each of the other three panelists' rankings. They have not shown them to each other, only I have seen them. But what I've done is I've done a points system. So each of their number one choices got 10 points, their number two choice got 9 points, and so on and so forth. So their number 10 choice got just the 1 point. And then I added them up together, gave each season its ranking based on how many points it got. Now we do have a few which came bang on a draw, so we got like two that had same number, and so I've put them together within the ranking.
Interesting.
But yeah, so we shall discuss season one, best and worst first of all, and then after that I shall give the first bit of the ranking, and then we'll discuss season two and then do a bit more of the ranking, and so that by the time we get to the end of the show you will have our full ranking of all 10 seasons of Smallville. And I can tell you this, there are some surprises. I can also tell you something else. Men and women think very differently about this show. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, right. Let's have a look who's in the chat. So we got Jenna, and we've got Dale, and we've got Laura D, which I'm assuming is your better half. Yes,
yep, the better half. Yes.
Okay. Hello to all you folk. Glad to have you with us. So let's get to it. I've got a few banners drawn up here, like this one. Well, best and worst, season one.
Slick.
Right. Who's going to go first? This is the thing.
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Nicole?
Right.
All right. How about
Go on,
we'll
Nicole.
start with the worst, because that's easy for this season for me. That's Kinetic.
That's pretty bad one.
I actually like Kinetic. I like Wayne Mahoney and his bro. No.
I don't know. It just didn't
Dude bros.
do much for me.
There's
What's
just
up,
way
bro?
too much.
Get it
There's
up,
way
bro,
too much
bro.
bros,
Yeah, dude
bro.
Yeah. I'll go
And number one. Oh, go ahead.
No, I forgot. You got to do your best as well. Go on, hit us with your best.
Tempest.
Tempest is good. Yeah. That one was a
Although it was a
major
hard choice.
contender for my number one. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'll go second because Tempest is my favourite of the season as well. Flipping close. I'm like, it's either Tempest or Rogue. Part of me really wants to go with Rogue because I'm a sucker for those episodes that don't involve a meteor freak, but someone who just challenges Clark in some other way because of their brain or whatever. And that one is it's just a really good one. There's a few very minor criticisms that kind of, I don't know. I think Tempest has the edge just because it's the season finale. It's got a really great cliffhanger. It's one of the first episodes that sucked me into the show. So yeah, I love it. There's a bit more Lex in there as well, which is always a bonus. Let's face it.
You always want more Lex. He's awesome.
Definitely. As for my worst, this was a real close one as well. Kinetic was this close. It was this close. The only thing that stopped it being my worst is because I can enjoy it on a purely action-driven, switch your brain off at the door kind of mentality.
Plus, it's got a good soundtrack as well.
There's that too. There's some nice fights in it. It's just
It has a lot of Lost Boys vibes to it as well.
A little. But Lost Boys is way better.
Yeah, Lost Boys, if the Lost Boys were a bunch of douchebag jocks who have no charisma whatsoever. But yeah.
They can walk through walls because the kryptonite tattoo lets them be able to do that.
I think it's more of where they push Whitney into the truck. It's like, going off the bridge. Lost Boys, right. That's what I think
that's probably what they were going for, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, no. However, it's not my worst. My worst is actually Reaper.
That is a really bad one. That is so bad.
There's literally about 7 minutes of pretty decent story in Reaper, but it's got absolutely zero to do with the Freak of the Week. It's all the stuff with Whitney and his dad. But again, it's so late in the day with regards to where it fits in the season. It's right near the end of season 1, and it's kind of, for me, it was a bit too little too late. Yeah. And even more so on reflection, because Whitney leaves after season 1, and that's kind of it. Save for a few little minor, it means that little bit of work they're trying to do to engender a bit more kind of love towards him, it just feels a bit pointless because he's gone in another couple of episodes.
Although it does show Clark's growth. I mean, this is someone that's a contender for the person that he loves, and he still goes out of his way to.
Yeah,
now, the thing is with this, I've got to agree with Brian on this. Reaper's my worst episode as well in season 1. Yeah, and he's like,
it's not. It's pretty. It's way down there for me too.
Oh, what gets me in this episode is poor little Pepper. Does anyone remember Pepper?
The dog, yes.
Why did he kill the dog? So not necessary.
Poor dog.
It's just that the Freak of the Week in that goes from like 0 to 260 in like that. It's just like. Some of the choices he makes are questionable at best, and
they are. But where he's coming from, you can understand.
No, I can't.
Except when it comes to killing the dog.
Let me just throw in my.
I don't understand that.
This episode is so forgettable to me. I don't remember anything other than Pepper. I remember Pepper turning to dust and that old lady turning to dust. This episode is my
Reaper is basically the one where if the guy touches you, you turn to sand.
Right.
And he basically goes around euthanizing people. He thinks, so the moment he finds out
words, Brian, he's not euthanizing, he's oldenizing.
He's trying to take away their pain. I mean, if you think about it from an animal, if you had a dog that was in a lot of pain, or a cat, right? You would say, okay, I'm going to euthanize this animal. I'm not going to make them suffer until they just their body completely gives out.
Yeah, but I don't take the leap from that. I don't take the leap from that thing. Oh, my grandma's ill. She's dead. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can there are people that are really in a lot of pain and they're miserable and they're old and they're just it's time. And my grandma actually said that to me at one point. She said, "I'm ready."
I've said that to my kids now, so...
No, but she really meant it. And I just remember that, and she had, but she had Alzheimer's.
Yeah, so, but I still think it's down to the person who decides if it's their time to go or not.
Yeah, it's exactly. Well, that was a big problem. Was that he was like,
don't be a judge.
The thing is, beyond any of the the questions about euthanasia and the whether it's ethical or what. Fact of the matter is, the dude playing the dude is just lacking in the most. Slightest bit of charisma. The dude's got nothing. I've literally seen planks of wood with more charisma than this dude. It's just, yeah.
But I think that's the point, right? Here we are diving deeper than the episode even did. We're having, we started down a path of a conversation that the show didn't even tread down. And I think that's what would keep this as one of the worser episodes.
They had it,
It's what they were trying for, but trying doesn't mean I'm buying. Durban, go.
Okay.
Best and worst.
So the best for me, I put Rogue. Tempest was close. I almost went with Tempest, but Smallville has such great season finales. There's very few that aren't great. I love Smallville season finales, but the Rogue episode was just so good. And Brian, you hit the nail on the head because it's not a freak of the week. It's not even somebody with a power, and yet Clark is trapped. And you really get that sense when you watch the episode. I mean, it's Clark's worst nightmare, somebody found out. It's everything Jonathan feared the most. I mean, it's somebody that had power. In other words, with the law and stuff, it could bend the law and do whatever he wants to do, and now can manipulate Clark. I mean, it's Jonathan's worst nightmare, and we actually get to see his temper come out in this episode. And I love that moment, and we talked about this once, and I remember us talking about this, Nicole, where Clark got so mad and he punched that, I want to say killer, but that wood thing in the kitchen, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even afford to lose my temper. I almost just destroyed the kitchen, and then he was so close to killing that guy. Like Brian said, there's some faults in it. Like there's a couple times I feel like the guy who played Phelan, I think that's his name, his acting can be a little over the top. But you put that aside.
He needs a mustache that he can twirl.
But honestly, he is kind of the first Lex Luthor prototype. Because isn't that the point of Lex Luthor versus Superman? That a mortal man with his own wits is able to outwit Superman and have to make Superman really think about his situation, even though he's got all of these powers. It was
the thing is, if you look at the naysayers of Superman, so people who kind of, I'm not a Superman fan. The primary reason they often give is, he's too invincible. You can't do it. There's no threat there. And actually, it's things like this where it's not people like Doomsday. It's not people like Mongol or Darkseid that really challenge him in that way.
Yeah, Lex Luthor.
It's
people like Lex Luthor. Yeah.
It's like the thing isn't about the Superman's power. It's what happens when he's put into a situation where that power is meaningless. What do you do then when it becomes actually a moral choice for yourself? And he's got the power to end these people like that, but he can't. So he has to go about it in a different way. And it's villains like Phelan that kind of bring that out and make the character much more interesting. So
and we get that again in Tempest with the reporter finding out, and that just is even more interesting. But I'll jump into my worst here real quick. My least favorite of season 1. Sorry, Brian. I'm going with Craving. Because I know you love Amy Adams, and it's not
a bad
fault.
episode.
Amy Adams did a great job, and so nothing against her, but her fat suit was really awful.
Oh my God, it was bad.
And the fact that she is a fat-sucking vampire. I mean, I know we got to have this suspension of disbelief in any kind of comic book story. I'm ready to go with that. But the idea that somehow Kryptonite is smart enough to go, I'm in a blender with healthy foods. That must mean I'm a health food shake. And therefore it gives her this power that she needs to feed off the fat of others. It's like, could you have picked a weirder, more insensitive, strange, dumb concept for a freak of the week? And that's our present Lois Lane.
But there was so much great stuff in that episode besides the freak of the week. I mean,
it kills me.
And you feel bad for the villain at the same time.
You do, yeah.
But that's entirely down to Amy Adams' performance. That is entirely down to Amy Adams' performance. It kills me, right? It kills me. What is it? 4-time Oscar nominee, 5. She's been nominated a lot. She's won supporting actress. Look, she's grade A talent, and it kills me.
That's her episode.
This is the episode they gave her.
Oh man!
I watch whenever I'm doing a Smallville run through. It's the one bad episode that I watch in spite of itself, purely because Amy Adams is
great characters she could have been. She could have been Raya. Can you imagine how great that would have been if she was Raya? Or what season 3, the girl that Jarrell used to try to lure Clark into the cave? It could have been her for that, but she's the fat-sucking vampire.
Yeah, this episode really got to me because it was up there going, oh, is this the worst episode? But, going through high school and being the fat ginger girl, and there was a lot of fat shaming in this episode. I really didn't like it, but yeah. And to think, oh, we can all suddenly have this wonder stuff that makes you slim again. It's like, no, it didn't happen.
Well, it didn't just make her slim. It killed her. I mean...
I don't get why she had to have that weird ass jaw effect where
that was awful when she stuck
why
in her ear.
Why did they do that? The thing is, it would be a lot scarier, a lot kind of more twisted if she did just actually eat the things she was eating without the use of CGI.
But it was the switch between the protagonist going, oh, I don't like you, but now you're super slim, I do. Yeah. And it's same with Pete Ross as well, because
he was nice to her before, though.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know that he would have said no before she got thinner. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Pete liked her as she was.
I mean, he did a good job of the protagonist, protecting her when she was being bullied.
It's a bad episode.
So I think
it's a bad episode.
It's not a very good episode. It's definitely at the bottom 5.
It missed the mark.
Everything you guys said was all they were all my bottom 5, and Rogue was definitely my top 5 too.
Yeah.
Tempest, what I have something with tornadoes. Personally, they scare the crap out of me. So for me,
it's tsunami that
jumped
scared the
into
shit out
a
of me.
tornado in itself is just amazing.
Yeah.
Right. So moving this along, then.
So
it's down
season
to me.
1 is done.
No.
Well, we got her. We got to do Lisa. She did her worst, right? So we got to hear Lisa's best.
How did you not do your best?
No, she only did her worst.
Right, sorry. Go on.
Right, so moving it along, the worst one was Reaper, and the best one, well, I really like Tempest, Rogue, but I'm gonna go with Pilot, just because it just set up the scene of the story, Smallville. It just set up the origin story. And I really love the line, where Clark goes, you mean I'm from another planet? Is my spaceship in the cellar? No, it's in the attic. Is it in the attic? No, it's in the storm cellar. I just love all that. So there you go.
Clark's the first one to find out his secret.
Oh yeah, his secret was so secret.
That's
in the
first
episode,
secret reveal.
He didn't even know his secret. That's so true.
And it lined up the whole obsession with Lex Luthor, and in saving him from the car crash. So that's why
Pilot did a great job of lining up the show. I'll give it.
I love Davis Bloom and all that stuff.
Well,
I will say
about that.
I will say the pilot of Smallville is one of my. I mean, it's not just because I love Smallville so much, but it's one of my favorite pilots. Like,
It is good.
I've
It is very
often
good.
like pilots do a reasonable job of setting stuff up, but they don't tend to be the episode to live up to for the rest of the season. And I felt like with Smallville, they really pulled out all the stops. I mean, back when it came out, it was like I think it was the biggest budgeted pilot for a TV show. Could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure I've heard something like that. Either way, they put a lot of money into this thing, and it shows. It's all on screen, and some of the effects have dated, but it still holds up pretty well today.
I mean, I thought the special effect with him running Clark off the bridge was really great.
Oh, it looked really good. Yeah.
And there's a couple of deleted scenes as well in the pilot. Deleted scene is the one where Clark stacks the cars up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which is reminiscent of Man of Steel. You know, where he does the
truck.
The thing with the truck. Yeah, and there's also a deleted scene where we see Chloe's dad. But it's not the Gabe Sullivan that we know. It's, Mayor Dean from Smallville and Lois, who actually plays Chloe's dad as well. So.
Okay then.
Plus, we get the whole pilot not actually being played by Martha O'Toole. I don't know if you've seen that, Gary.
I've seen that, but it's there's only one Martha. So
yeah.
Okay.
There's a reason why they
played Lana in Superman 3.
Yeah. Okay, right. So that's season 1. Now let's give you our first in the ranking totem pole. Okay. So as I say, I will remind you, these guys, they have no clue what this ranking looks like because they've only given you their separate rankings so far. I've done the numbers, so they have no clue what's going to be on bottom. Although I'm sure they can have a. I'd like to know actually, like, regardless of what your individual choices were, if you were to place a bet, what would you bet was at number 10?
I'm prejudiced with my individual choice, so I have no idea.
Right. Okay.
7.
6.
Oh boy, let's do this. Come on, Brian.
Sorry, we talked about best or worst.
I think it's 7.
Well, this is the worst. So this is the one that's at number 10.
Reveal it, Brian. Reveal it.
7, yeah.
This is the one that we decided collectively is the worst season. 1 and 4. Joint.
1 and 4.
Yes, they got the same amount of points, which I find staggering.
Or I believe season 1, I don't buy that should be at number 10.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. That
Durban. I will say Durban, and to the sensible people watching at home, it was not the men who brought season 1 down that low. I will tell you that much. I will tell you that much right now.
You can find my ranking on my channel and see where I put season 1.
Yeah, me and Durban are not responsible for 1 being that low.
Oh my
okay?
goodness.
Well, I'm not responsible for 4 being that low. But.
Well, 4.
Yeah, but you should be. You should be.
I mean, it was in the middle.
4 has one force that drags it down. And you know what?
Spell?
It wasn't exactly all Lana. It was the plot that they used Lana for that takes season 4 and drags it
which
so
ran
far down.
through much of the season. Man alive, I'm sorry, girls, but you've been smoking some bad crack if you think season 1 should be that low. Now, obviously, it goes without saying, everyone here, we're all Smallville fans. We do like every single season. So we're not comparing this to other TV. It's just within the context of Smallville itself. But even so, girls, lay off the drugs, because there's no way that season 1 should be that
you
low.
guys, your worst episodes were all different, and they were all at the bottom. And this is what dragged season 1 down for me, because it was almost a 4-way tie for the worst episode. And Rome was also not mentioned in the worst, but that was not
The thing with season 1 is it had consistency of tone and agenda. It
really did. Yes.
Whereas season 4 is so all over the place.
It is.
Like
season
the characters are up and
It
down.
was the best because it obviously ranked low. I didn't think season 4 was great.
And I think like season 1, the 5-star episodes are very good 5-star episodes.
Yeah.
Whereas season 4, okay, Onyx is a really great 5-star episode.
Wait, what about the Alicia episodes? Durbin loves them.
I love them, but I don't.
There's not some really good seasons.
No, I love the Alicia stuff. I love the Alicia stuff. What I'm saying is, when you compare the 5-star episodes in season 4 to the 5-star episodes in season 1, I would say that season 1 more than has the edge.
I think all right, we got to get to season 2. We got to move on. We can get stuck here. We got to go on.
Yeah.
Because this is very interesting.
I love Jitters and I love Nicodemus. Love Rogue. We've all done the
those are all
reviews of that, and I don't know. Right. Season 1's might be moving up there. Okay.
It better. All right. We'll do this again in 10 years'
time. I'm surprised at how low season 1 ranked for me when I averaged everything out, to be honest.
Yeah, I was surprised how low it ranked for you as well.
Yeah.
It's shocking. Absolutely bloody shocking. Right, moving on.
Season 2, here we go. Best and worst.
Here we go. Best and worst of season 2. Durbin, you kick this one off, mate.
All right. So my favorite episode of season 2, probably to nobody's surprise, is Rosetta. I love everything about that episode. I love Christopher Reeve being in it because I love Superman the movie. But what I love is the whole tone of Rosetta. Rosetta doesn't feel like an episode of Smallville. It has a very cinematic feel, and it continues to go back to the theme of the Superman the movie music. So you constantly hear that music in the background. So all that epic feel that you always have with Smallville really got kicked into high gear in this episode. The whole thing where he's being called and he's having these dreams and these visions until finally he puts the key in the cave and it downloads him with the knowledge of the Kryptonian language. It's my favorite interpretation thus far in any Superman lore of how he learned Kryptonian. And so I just thought that whole thing was brilliant. And I love Christopher Reeve reading to him his first ever message from his biological father. And I give me a second. I think I have it memorized. This is Kal-El of Krypton, our infant son, our last hope. Please protect him and deliver him from evil. But then you go to the ship and you have this wildly different message where it says, reign through them with strength, my son, because that is where your greatness lies. And it's like this cultural misunderstanding begins to kick off everything. It's just a brilliant episode. I love it. Do you want me to dive into my worst, or do we want to talk about this a little bit more?
I love Rosetta is also my favorite. So
Rosetta's my favorite.
There we go.
It's not my favorite.
Yes, we've all knocked out our favorite episodes. It's
no. It's not my favorite.
Oh well, it should be.
It's my favorite from season 2. Okay.
No,
awesome.
it's
okay. There's a lot of really good ones in season 2. So.
Season 2 is probably one of my favorites. I love season 2 so much.
Yeah. I knew I was going to be the odd one out on this, but Rosetta is not my favorite of season 2.
But that's okay because there's a ton of great episodes. My worst is Redux. So you go back to season 1. I didn't like the fat sucking episode.
Like
this one is the youth sucking episode where that girl is sucking the youth out of everybody. And I don't know what else to say about it because it's such a bad episode that it has largely left my brain. I had to watch a trailer for it today just to get it back in my brain, and I went,
that is a bad episode, yeah.
It's just bad. This is a bad one.
Yeah, it's in the bottom for me.
Yep.
That's not my bottomist, though.
Right.
Go on, Nicole. Shoot.
Suspect is my bottomist, at least.
Really?
Which one is Suspect again?
The one where it's like a Rashomon style, where Jonathan Kent's accused of trying to shoot Lionel Luthor. Turns out to be
now, what's interesting about this, the reason why Suspect is down the list, usually I like murder mysteries, and it's not like it was done poorly.
But isn't this the fifth time Jonathan
really
was
poorly? It was interesting the way they did it, and actually I didn't know who the killer was until the end, so that was done well. But I just didn't like it. Just it just rattled me in a way that made me feel not good. I don't like the idea of Jonathan being accused of murder that he didn't do and going after him, that him being in jail. And I didn't enjoy it. You know, it was just my enjoyment factor. I don't like to rewatch that episode. I skip very few episodes of Smallville when I rewatch, and Suspect was one of them. There's nothing in it that I watch and go, oh, I feel good. Like, I just feel like once you watch it the first time you watch it, it's not so bad. Well, I mean, that part did bother me, but at least you have the suspense and the trying to figure out what happens. Once you've seen it once, you know what happens. There's nothing left good about it. So,
the thing I like in season 2 is the guest appearance of Jason Connery as Dominic Salvatore. It's like, yes, and all the other stuff to do with the Green Archer and Robin Hood. He's like, yes, it's him. But I know where you're coming from, but it's not my worst.
Yeah,
do you want my worst?
Very far from being my worst. Go on.
I forgot what it is now.
Oh no!
Oh no! Season 2 is gotta be Nocturne.
That is a bad one.
It's not great.
Yeah, it's like
all the poetry nonsense.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I'm with Clark on the poetry nonsense in that episode.
Well, for a start, poetry nonsense. I didn't like the reference to Byron, because Byron is just like the biggest, romantic poetrist going. But it was also I was a big Buffy and Angel fan, and him popping out and stuff. It was too much like, oh, this is an episode of Buffy Gone Bad. Yeah.
Very bad. Very bad.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast.
I do not like that episode. It's the attempt to be all kind of gothic 1930s horror movie kind of. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Not for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still not my worst.
Well, what's your best and worst, Brian?
So my best is Precipice, which I know a lot of people would disagree with me on.
But, I like that one.
Oh, I like this episode. Yeah.
That's one of my. It's way up there for me.
Again, it's
I don't like Dr. Helen Zex, but
No, but I like that it takes a theme and it runs with it, and each of the characters' stories all complement that theme, rather than having stuff going on with the main characters that's what we're there for, and then you've got some weird random ass side story that's going on that doesn't really connect very well, which is often what Smallville would do sometimes. Smallville always worked best when the A story and the B story, and even sometimes a C story, all worked around one theme that knitted them together, and this was one of them that did that. And it really, it's a film about it's an episode about violence and about our response to it, the effects of violence and our response to it. And each character has a different idea about how one should respond to it, and those ideas are shaped by gender and things like that. So there's a lot in there, I think, to really dig into.
And then surprising to me though that was your favorite over Heat, Duplicity, Red. I mean,
yeah, those episodes are fun, but I tend to veer more towards the serious side of things. I also think Anson Mount, who plays the ex-boyfriend in this, if he hadn't have played the ex-boyfriend in this, would have made a brilliant Bruce Wayne Batman. I just think
you do know he does the voice of Bruce Wayne, don't you?
I do know that now. Yes, but I think even back then he would have made a perfect Bruce Wayne for it. But no, I do tend to veer more towards the darker kind of serious elements of things. Red, Heat, very fun episodes, 5-star episodes for me.
Calling Exodus.
Yeah, the reason I didn't go for Rosetta is when I first watched Rosetta, it didn't. Other than seeing Christopher Reeve and going, "Hey, that's the original Superman," I'm sat there, and because I know the lore of Superman, none of the information that he's giving felt like a huge revelation to me. I know it is for Clark within the context of this show. He's hearing all this for the first time. But me as someone who knows the character of Superman, this isn't the first time I'm hearing this stuff. So when you got the dramatic music and all that, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, I get it. He doesn't know it, but I do. So it didn't quite have that emotional impact that I feel like perhaps it does have with people who.
But not even that twist of the message from Jor-El inside the ship, reign through them with strength, my son. That's where your greatness lies. I mean, that's kind of an interesting Jor-El twist that has never happened in any Superman lore before, right? Where it's like, wow, is this a tyrant father, or who is this?
I don't really think it is that much of a twist, to be honest. Because again, it's not just TV and film that I've heard Superman in. I've heard radio plays and read comic books, and there are elements in certainly the 90s. Dirk Maggs produced Superman radio plays where that is an element that kind of rears its head, where is he there to so what I mean is, like, the episode did a very good job of presenting all that lore certainly to a new audience. But I as I was sat there, I was like, this is good, I like it, I like seeing Christopher Reeve, but it didn't quite have the impact. Whereas with Precipice, it was a taut episode. It was quite tense at times. Some really good acting in it. Lex had a big part to play. Lana didn't annoy me. It was good stuff. I enjoyed it, but I won't go on any further with that. My least favourite episode, again, I think maybe there'll be some disagreement here, but Skinwalker. I absolutely hate this episode, and one of the there's multiple reasons why I hate this episode, and
Small.
It's primarily
Henry's Small.
It's primarily because it's such an important episode. There is so much introduced within this episode that will go on to shape the entire show. The caves and everything. And yet we have this character, this woman that Clark meets, falls in love with, and then has to mourn. And I've spoken about this before. We'll get to it again when we get to a later season, which is that's too much of a story arc to cram into one episode and expect me to care.
And what happened to the bracelet?
I did care, though.
That's right. It's supposed to be given to Lois.
I don't know how you can say you care about that.
I cared. I actually shipped them for the episode.
That does not compute with me.
I sat there and I was like, oh yes, he's finally with a girl.
It literally annoys me that you actually got suckered into that BS story.
I watched it today, and when Lana comes up the stairs and she sees him, and it's like, there's just so much rage and jealousy there.
It's just if this girl hadn't have been made to look like Lara Croft, and like your typical CW, let's find the hottest possible girl we can find, and she's going to be the love interest for one episode, and have a character arc that at the least should have spanned 3 episodes.
I agree with that. But I will say that I was sucked into the story.
No, not even remotely sucked in, because like Superman fans know that Lana Lang was his first love interest. They know that Lois is the one he ends up with. That's all she wrote. So when you bring some character in like this and you expect us to care for her, then you need to give her a proper multiple episode story arc.
Yeah, there was no grief episode.
No,
well.
Yeah, that bothered me. Actually, they did that a few times in Smallville. Yeah. Lack of grief episodes.
So mishandled.
And this was one of them. Alicia's death was the second one. And the third one was when Lana left. And as much as you hate Lana, the fact is he went through a really traumatic thing, and then they completely ignored it after that episode. So those are the 3 times that it really bothered me. That's with Clark. Now there are other characters that suffered, and also, you know, we get no acknowledgement. I mean, some characters just disappear and we don't get any acknowledgement.
Like Henry Small.
Yes, like Henry Small.
Chloe's dad.
Like
Chloe's dad. Chloe's an orphan. How did that happen?
Lucas
We don't know.
Like, why isn't he at the wedding? I mean, did he die? The
Why is
fact
he
that
not
we
walking
don't
her down
know
the
that
aisle?
is a
Come on.
problem.
Anyway, so right. So is that everyone?
I think we've hit everyone. So let's get to our
right.
next number 9 here. I'm excited.
Okay. So getting to the ranking and
7.
So number 8 in
Number
the
8,
ranking
okay. That's where we
is.
Oh my gosh.
Oh!
That fits. That fits. I really like season 7, and I think season 7 is a very underrated season. I think its biggest problem is it tried to do too much for one season. I mean, you had Kara, which was awesome, and then you had her father come into it with the blue kryptonite, and then, you know, Clark's mother, and that was pretty cool. And then you had Bizarro, and you had so many plots that they were all and Veritas, right? But you had all of that crammed into a season, and and then the writer's strike happened, and so it was a shorter season.
And Julian, his brother, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Julian. That's my problem with season 7. I think there was a lot of great stuff.
And not only that, but they had to do it in 20 episodes, not 22.
Yes.
He's like, I love Michael Cassidy, but he always.
I don't know. I mean, it's not bad. Look, there's no bad season of Smallville for me.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's like my least favorite. It's not actually. It was almost tied for season 1. But so my issue with it, I have a lot of issues with the Veritas storyline, but that's for another episode of
Right. There's things that are good about Veritas, because I mean, it's the weird implications of what does that mean of life on other planets, and the way they take it and mix it with like religious metaphors. It's interesting, but because they shove it into the season when they're doing 20 things, they retcon things. They just want to expect you to believe these symbols are always hiding, and it's like, you don't have to go that far with a retcon. You could just say there's this thing called Veritas. You don't have
retcon Lytle!
You don't have to Da Vinci Code this thing. Right. It's been around. It's like, come on.
It's like there's
a lot of good stuff
in the pilot.
7. There is. There's just something a little lacking in some areas.
Yes.
And yeah, I have a problem with the retcon storyline, but I enjoy season 7. I always enjoy season 7 more than I remember enjoying season 7 when I rewatch it, which is interesting because it's actually bumped up for me. And so it's not bad. It's just not
yeah,
bad.
I could agree with that. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Right. Regarding season 7, in the pilot, there's a scene with Clark going, "Oh, I remember the trucks rolling through town." You know, sort of like doing
I remember that line.
The mansion, you know,
Yep.
and then there you see it in Veritas, and it's like Lex and Doomsday, and it's like, well, that's more or less, you know, just after the meteor shower, and there's no way Clark would remember that. That's a retcon.
I think I agree with that. And the fact that they took that building apart stone by stone and didn't find the orb in the fireplace. You would find that. Oh gosh.
Look, you guys know how much I defend Smallville and fill holes, okay?
Yeah.
Big holes.
And this hole is like the size of Canada, okay? I don't like total retcons, and that's that bothers me. So.
Yeah, it's an action-packed season.
There's no way to explain it. None.
The annoying thing is that it's a retcon that was done by Goff and Millar before they left.
Yeah.
And that's like, so they made this kind of mess, and then said, right, there you go, boys.
We're out of here.
See ya. So they had a real big kind of mess to clean up with season 8. The poor writers that were kind of left behind to do that. Now, season 7 for me, it's like season 1 to 4. I lost count how many times I saw those 4 seasons. Literally, I've seen them so many times. 5 and 6 less so, but I've still seen them quite a bit. I've seen season 7 twice. Now, the first time I watched it, it's when it came out on DVD. I bought the DVD, and me and my flatmate, who were going through Smallville at the time, we watched Smallville, and we both agreed it was the worst season at that point. I actually would go so far to say I didn't like it all that much. One of the reasons for that, and I've since learned that it was perhaps the TV we were watching it through. The actress who plays Supergirl, she has this thing where literally every sentence, before she speaks every sentence, she goes and like
I'll never be able to unsee that now. Thank you.
Well, this is it. So my flatmate could never unhear that, and so it did ruin it. And I noticed it very early on, and then throughout the rest of the season, it just bugged the crap out of us. And then we got all the reasons that you guys have just mentioned as to why it was the worst season for me. And it took me a long time to go back and watch it. And when me and Dervin started we were going through the seasons on our channels. I did go through, and I got to season 7 again. I watched it again for the second time, and it fared a lot better. I've got to say. Again,
it does better on rewatch for some reason. I don't know why, but it does.
Well, for a start, the second time around, I kept on wincing, expecting the whole kind of breathing in, and I didn't hear it. So again, whether it's the TV, the sound system that I was using,
you've ruined it for me, though. I will see it forever now.
Yeah,
I know.
It certainly helped anyway.
I'm not a big fan of the Supergirl character. I'm just gonna say that, and that probably also affected season 7 for me. I was actually happy she was gone.
I'm not a fan that in season 10 she gets revealed to the world as Supergirl before Clark is revealed to the world as Superman. I'm like, that's wrong. So anyway, sorry, that's not even season 7. But go on.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my thoughts on season 7. Let's move on.
Season 3.
So best
we'll have to pick
and
up
worst.
the pace a little.
Yeah, we are. We got this. We got this. Let's go.
Come on, right. Let's nail this. Even though this is one of my favourite seasons, but
it is a great season.
I'll go first on this one because it is one of my favourite seasons. Now this is the season. Like before we came on, I was telling these guys that the way I worked out my ranking is a bit weird because on paper some seasons are higher than season 3, but just because of the average scores. But then when I look at season 3's 5-star episodes, of which there are many, they're almost like 6-star episodes. When you compare them to other seasons, 5-star episodes.
That's why I added a 6, by the way.
Season 3 just has this darker, grittier tone. It's so good.
It did. It was great. It was basically Lex's season.
Lex and Lionel's season. This was the season of their relationship.
They had there was a really good through line between them all the way through.
And Chloe coming out to support them. But
we got two really outstanding episodes for Lex. 3 really, because we got Shattered and Asylum, but then we got what is my favourite episode of season 3 and one of my favourite episodes of all time, quite frankly. Like I say, this isn't a 5-star episode, it's a 6-star episode, and that's Memoria. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really emotional. It's got a real gut punch. That end scene where Lionel is like, Lex, if I'd have known, and it's just like you can see in Lionel that holy crap, I've based my entire life for the past however many years.
That's to do with Julian, isn't it?
It's like yes. Yeah. Because basically, Lex took the blame for the death of Julian, so that his mum didn't take the punishment from Lionel. And it's such a flipping dark story. You have this CW show that's like teenagers in high school and all this for like 2 seasons, and then they just boom, suddenly it goes dark, real dark, infant death. it was an amazing episode. Absolutely fantastic. Still one of my favourites. That's my favourite. My least favourite of season 3 is Hereafter. And it's just, again, it's one of those stories where I feel it asking you all the time to be emotionally involved. Oh, this is really emotional.
Although I really like the music at the beginning. I really like the opening.
But the story just isn't emotional. It's nowhere near as emotional as the time. The most emotional bit in Hereafter is a scene that shouldn't even flipping be in this episode. It should have been the opening scene of the next episode, which is Jonathan having his heart attack. They take an episode that is beyond average. It's really below average, and then they smack this gut punch scene in that just does this scene. This episode does not deserve this scene, and that pisses me off all.
But Smallville got good at that. They go, we know this episode is terrible, so we're gonna put something really crucial in it.
Yeah. So it's very much like my criticism of Skinwalker, in that you have something in it that is like, this isn't an episode when you're telling people, you know, if you were to give people a list of episodes they need to watch, you kind of have to give them this one just because of that last scene, and I begrudge it. I really begrudge it. It's like, screw you, Hereafter. I'm just going to write a little note saying, look, Jonathan's had a heart attack, move on to the next episode.
You could just tell them to watch the last 5 minutes of Hereafter.
That's an idea too. Right, next up, Lisa, go.
Exile for the best.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I like Exile.
5-star episode for me as well.
Yeah. I just love him coming to terms with he's the Red K, isn't it, really? And he's just a bit hunky. Right, okay, and the
the essential reasons for liking any episode.
No, it's the turmoil of him being on Red K.
Yeah. And for 3 months straight too, or something like that. Yeah.
And that cliffhanger as well when his dad.
Plus leading up to up to the next episode. Yeah.
The first proper super fight.
Yeah, and I think the worst one, just because it was boring, it's magnetic.
Yeah.
That's my worst. Wait, Lisa matched my best and worst.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, Brian matched my best. Memoria is my absolute favorite episode of the season. And it's for everything Brian said. I mean, the best part of that episode is Lionel and Lex. And really getting into the root of why the relationship is the way it is. Yep. And that was really powerful. And the best scene in that episode is when Lex comes clean with the truth. Why did he take that blame? And that moment where Lionel, like, that lip quiver that he does, where he's just like, oh. Well, if I would have known, things would have been so different. But there was something so, like, crazy earnest in that performance that it's like, oh my gosh, he's not being a lying, cheating, manipulating jerk. This struck a chord in this guy. And so the fact that you have these genuine moments of strong emotion between Lionel and Lex in this incredibly powerful episode, it's amazing. And it's what makes this the season for Lionel and Lex. And it was just... so powerful. And my worst was magnetic. That was just a stupid episode.
No, you know what? Here's the thing that really bothered. I have a problem when characters lose their agency. Mm-hmm. And that was what happened in this episode. And on top of that, it was just creepy.
It is creepy. But again, it's like Brian has said about other episodes, the villain is somebody we've never met before. We're suddenly supposed to be invested in now, and now he's manipulating Lana.
It's a fixation
and
on
it
Lana.
really kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know.
Didn't like the Lana fixation. What is it with Lana that everybody's fixated on her? It's like they haven't really gotten to know her. If you get to know Lana and all the drama that she is, you want nothing to do with it.
Let's move on.
We'll move on. That is for another day.
Let's move on. Okay.
All right. Are we back to our ranking?
Is that it? Is that everyone?
I think we all went.
We're all done? Yeah. Okay. So I shall remove that.
I'll say season 5. That's my guess.
That's your guess.
I don't even know anymore. I don't even know anymore.
Durban, you know where you put season 5, and you also know that I told you we were on the same page.
Yep.
So take comfort in that, my friend.
I will take comfort.
Okay. Right. How many have I done? We're on to our third one, aren't we? Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
But we had 2 at number 10 and 9. Then we had number 8. So this is number 7. So
Okay, number 7.
at number 7 is season 6. Oh, season 6.
I put it in my individual ranking. It was like, I think I put it at number 9. And I wanted to have it be higher. I really did.
Yep.
Because you have the whole Justice League episode there, and the zoners, like all of that was so good in season 6. So season 6, when it's about Clark, when it's about Krypton, when it's about Superman and Superman lore, it's one of the best seasons. But that
it certainly is, but
and Lana stuff is insanely bad. It is just taking the wedding episode that we have the firmest disagreement on aside. Put that episode aside. This whole stupid love triangle is this gigantic weight on everything. And it's Lana drama at its worst. It's almost why I came up with hashtag Lana drama, just because it was just so bad in season 6 in contrast to the other stuff that was so overwhelmingly good.
Season 6 was right in the middle of the pack for me. So same with season 5. I mean, it's had some great stuff in it. Obviously, a way different perspective than Durban on season 6 for me, which we'll find out very soon. But I mean,
come on, Lana moved forward with Lex.
I didn't like the beginning of what's interesting for me is Hydro on, as I really love season 6, minus maybe like a couple of little ones in between.
Yeah.
But for the most part, once Hydro happened and I don't know, the wheels started to turn in Lana. That's when I was okay with it. But the beginning of season 6 the Lex and Lana, when she's like falling for Lex, is just creepy.
Yeah, but she doesn't fall for Lex. She goes deeper into a relationship with him whenever Clark ticks her off. It's really irritating to watch.
Oh, I can tell you that me
I disagree on that, but we'll talk about that another time. But yes,
I can tell you that me and Lisa were on the same page with season 6 because we both had it at number 4. I really liked season 6. It's one of those seasons that's grown on me a lot more the more I watch it, and I think maybe the older I've got as well.
There's a lot of good stuff in it. Don't get me wrong. And I was sad I ranked it where I ranked it because there's a lot of great stuff in it.
Yeah, there is.
The thing for me is that we had 4 seasons in which Lana kind of ended up feeling a bit pointless and redundant. And, like her storyline would always be the one that come the next season. Whitney in season 2, gone. Henry Small, season 3, gone. JC, gone. So it was always like, they would always have, Lex and Clark, they would have stories that would run on into the next seasons. Lana's, it was always like, we'll give her a storyline and then we'll wrap it up. We'll figure out something else in that scene. Once we get to season 5 and season 6, finally somebody in that writer's room actually gave Lana something to do that affected,
be part of the love triangle.
Yeah, that affected,
which started in season
everything
1.
else. So for me, season 6 has some really great stuff in there between Lex and Clark. But
Nemesis?
Great one. But surprisingly is that Lana actually fits into that for a change. It was always a show that was built on this triangle of people, but there was always a weakest link. Whereas in season 5 and 6, that triangle was doing something. for the first time. So, yeah, I really like season 6. Grown on me a lot. There you go.
All right, season 4, best and worst.
Season 4, best and worst.
The best and the worst of
yeah.
season 4.
Okay, so Nicole, you go first.
All right. My worst is Bound.
I forget which one that is.
That's
Bound.
That's the one where Lex, so he has sex with this random woman in a club.
Oh, yes,
gets
with Robin
murdered.
Schabotsky from How I Met Your Mother, and Clark throws her into a brick wall and she's fine. Got it.
Yeah, and so then he gets framed for murder by the woman that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I
a
don't
good
know.
episode.
I didn't really like that episode. It didn't really do anything for me at on any level. I guess I didn't hate it. I just not
Yeah.
interested.
I seriously can't even remember it, so that tells you how.
Yeah, you had to describe it to me.
That you
So,
just
yeah.
go,
Well, you might remember the scene where he's literally bound to a chair and there's
Yep.
there's a ring of fire. And
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And Clark
Yeah.
comes in and helicopters the fire out.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's when he throws her into the wall and she's fine.
I'm really interested now to see what I
That's
gave.
the only redeeming feature about this episode. Everything else about it is just meh.
It's just not. I
need
think
to
this is one that I sometimes kind of skip because
I
it's
need
not.
to
There's
see-
nothing
I need to
really.
see.
That.
What
What's
was
your
really
best
good
one
in it.
of season 4?
So 4 commencement.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
In the
great.
radio shower.
I don't know if Brian is reacting to us or something else. But
I'm reacting to what I gave Bound.
what did you give Bound? What did you give it?
Considering this is an episode I couldn't even remember, I gave it a 10 out of 10.
What?
Okay. Listen. Let me. So, I did a blog many moons ago, the Smallville review on Blogspot. Let me read my review for
boy.
Bound, because I've got no clue what this episode is and why I gave it 10 out of 10.
So great. I don't remember it.
So I usually start with a synopsis, which I won't bother with here, but it's the actual review part. I said, so this is a really great episode. But then episodes that mostly focus on Lex usually are. I like what the story has to say about one-night stands. We see how Lex's laissez-faire attitude towards women can wreak terrible emotional damage. It acts as a cautionary tale against treating people as though they were toys that can be discarded after they've been
I
played
mean,
with.
all this is true. But
It is. It had been a long time since I last saw this episode, so I was really surprised to see Kobe Smulders pop up as the jilted and vengeful lover. She does a good job in the role. The standout scene, though, is between Clark and Lex, where Lex tells Clark, "Don't give up on me yet." There is a real sense of desperation in his voice, and it comes off the back of Clark telling Lex how he's been feeling about him lately. It's a great moment because of the two of them are being emotionally honest with each other rather than the usual case of Clark hurling accusations and Lex giving suspect justifications. It's a bit weird seeing Lionel being good, even having seen all these episodes before. It still takes some getting used to. But Glover goes a long way in making you believe that he is a changed man, with subtle changes in body language and vocal cadence, delivering a typically great performance. While I'm still not sold on the whole witches angle, it's nice to see Jane Seymour pop up as Jason's mother. She only has a couple of scenes here, but manages to convey that this woman could be trouble. No meteor freaks, just a good old-fashioned mystery thriller and plenty of great character moments. 10 out of 10!
Wow. Good job, Brian.
There you go.
Good job. So we know Brian's favorite episode of season 4.
How did you get?
I mean, it was all right,
at the
but
end of it.
all right. Well, I guess Brian enjoyed it. I agree with What's interesting is I agreed with everything you said. Still doesn't change my opinion of how I feel.
Me and Nicole are not on. We're not compatible. That's the simple fact of the matter. We're not compatible. If we were sat there watching Smallville together, no.
But it's also
no.
great you gave it a 10
But
out of
I
10.
would
and
watch
couldn't even
the
remember it.
episode and still enjoy all those things you said about it.
Mm-hmm.
See, that it just goes to show you, even the worst episodes for me are still usually pretty decent.
I just find it staggering though that you like now that I've read that review, I remember it. But it's these one word titles that always throw me off, because sometimes the title sounds like a completely different episode altogether. Like you mentioned the title and it brings up something else. But yeah,
I thought Commencement was very interesting. It was very dramatic. It was filled with great action. And I loved Chloe saving Clark in that too. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved when Jonathan said, you go off and, save the world, basically, even though Martha, being the mother, was terrified for his life. Jonathan knew that it was still something he had to do. So it's just a great episode. But a lot of, like you said, the season finale, it's really hard to not put the season finale as the top episode.
You know what I didn't like in that episode?
Lana.
Is when Lois goes up to a proper US Army soldier.
Oh, yes.
And goes, "You listen to me, soldier," and she's trying to distract him as she starts giving it.
You put the roadblocks out in the right way.
Oh man, I'm just like,
that soldier wouldn't have cared whose daughter she was. He would have
my
been like,
freestyle
"Man,
army
shut up
general
and
dad
evacuate."
would,
yeah. Like, there's no way.
She was just trying to
taking that.
distract him.
Yeah, no, but it wouldn't have worked. It's just That guy that must be his first day on the job. I'm sorry, because he's just worst soldering I've ever seen. Okay, who's next? Durban, go.
So for season 4, favorite episode, I agree with you, Nicole. We are on the same page. It is Commencement. I absolutely love Commencement. I agree with you, though, Brian. That one scene is kind of ridiculous. But take some of those ridiculous things aside. I get it. They have to prolong the season. But the witch plot line was ridiculous. The ways that they kept Clark giving him excuses not to pursue the stones is ridiculous. But what it actually built to was this season finale where now he has to do it. Now you have this urgency. And episode 4, even though they ripped off 24 and they kept going to this clock with this countdown. Yeah, Smallville did that a lot, though. I mean, they ripped off Saw. They ripped off so many things. But in this case, I feel like the ripoff worked, because now Clark is dealing with the consequences of procrastinating what he was supposed to be doing. You could clearly see how they wouldn't have had these issues had he been on the ball before. And now
Jonathan literally told him not to do it.
Yes, yes. And I'm not disagreeing with that. Like, because, they have this history with Jarrell. So there is complication to that. So there's more nuance to the fact that he's not doing this. But I love the fact that now we see why he needed to do this. And now we have this urgency throughout this episode as he has to collect all 3 stones. One of my favorite moments, though, is when Lionel blatantly lies to Lex. Lex, I don't have the stone, and then kicks off. But it's like, it's great. I mean, the moment where he starts to become this oracle of Kryptonian knowledge, like Lionel to me is always the most fascinating character on Smallville. I just feel like they always found the most fascinating things to do with this character. And to me, this was one of those really interesting things that they did. Plus, I mean, I got to tell you, the first time I ever watched this show, and we had never seen season 5, when he teleported to the Arctic, every nerd alarm in my head went off, and I went, "The Fortress of Solitude, that's the knowledge!" I mean, I was on my feet excited, because I'm like, it's like Superman the movie. He's got a crystal in his hand. He's going to throw it. We're going to have an ice palace. Yes, it was like, I loved it. So everything about that, I love. My least favorite, Brian, I know this is yours. Ageless. Hate it. Hate it. I hate it. I'll save it for when we get to Brian. We'll talk about it.
It's not a good episode.
Well,
It's horrible.
On that note, I'll pick up where you left off. Ageless is the worst episode of Smallville.
Yeah. I would agree with you on that.
It's a contender.
Yes.
It's definitely a contender.
There's definitely
I'm sorry.
Can I just say, Ageless is mine as well.
Yes, there you go. Listen, this never has there been a more pointless episode than this.
What?
Absolutely ridiculous. It's like it again. It's that thing that Skinwalker did that pisses me off so much, which is that we know they are not going to have a baby. Not only that, but we know right from the setup this baby is going to age and then die. You know, they're going to grow up. So all their little kind of, I'm sorry, I'm a parent, right? You don't get that kind of emotional connection without going through it with your kids, without seeing every step of them.
How does the kid learn to read?
Yes.
I know. It's all ridiculous.
And his love of windmills.
I mean, that's the least of the episode's problems, the ridiculousness of the concept. But it's just like
It was bad.
you know,
It was tied for number one.
it annoys me. It annoys me, and it's that thing again where they're asking too much of you as an audience to buy in to how Clark and Lana feel about this kid when they're looking at it like, oh, and he's dying at the end as an old man, and they're in tears, and you're like, no, you're not. You've known this kid for a day. You can't develop a personality within the time frame that you've been given.
So hands up for Ageless being the worst episode.
The worst of Smallville or the worst for the
Well, it's definitely the worst of season 4, and it's a contender for the worst of Smallville. Because if you take this episode out, it has no bearing on anything. Lana and Clark have already broken up, and they're in a bad place. And yet you have this episode where they forgot about that.
Well, they're in a weird place. They're not in a bad place.
Nicole.
They're in a weird place.
The point is, the episode has no
I don't
continuity.
like the placement of the episode because of that. Because also, were they in the car because they were going on a date that they just were going to have because of Blink? I don't know. We don't know.
Serious question, Nicole. How can you put Bound below this?
Okay, I'll tell you why. And like I said,
there's no justification.
Sometimes my ratings. Now, Brian, I know a lot of times your ratings of things are based on, like, you know, how well they executed stuff or how, like, they more
based on whether it's good or bad. Yeah.
No.
Within the Superman
yours are based on like how good of like a movie rater would do it, right? Mine are based on my emotional feelings about it. Okay,
you got some emotional feeling
subjective.
From Ageless.
Okay.
I got an emotional feeling from Ageless, and it's the kind
the
that brings up
the only reason why Ageless is not at the bottom is because I love Clark and Lana so much, and despite the fact that it was ridiculous,
even if you love
I
Clark and
still
Lana,
emotionally enjoyed parts of it, and so I had some emotional connection to it because of that.
It's like when he goes to find his dad and then accidentally kills him, and it's just like, are you kidding me? It's ridiculous.
I agree with all of that.
Absolutely pathetic. It's a terrible concept, terribly executed, completely unemotional, because you can't possibly be engaged with this character in the way that Clark and Lana profess to be. It's nonsense.
I'm not engaged with the character, but I'm engaged with the Clark and Lana.
No.
But you aren't engaged with them like as much as I am.
I'm sorry, but
I'm not engaged with them at all. It does not fit where the relationship is, even at that point.
No.
Does not
Here's
work.
the thing.
It does not work.
Durbin, I agree with you on that. The episode was in the wrong place. Like,
well,
where it
then
was
it
put.
doesn't fit now, does it?
It doesn't fit. No,
listen,
the
take this. Sorry.
Everything you guys were saying is not 100% right, and it is literally in the bottom two.
Nicole, take this episode, right? Take this episode. Now you tell me, you can put it anywhere in the series, right? Do that. Put it anywhere in the series right now. Tell me where it should be.
It should
where
be
it'd
in
make it
season
work.
5. And
it just wouldn't work. It still wouldn't work.
You could delete this episode and it will change nothing. It brought nothing to the story.
Zero.
It brought nothing to the characters.
Guys, I didn't say this is my favorite episode.
Actually, Durbin, you're wrong.
At the
You're wrong,
bottom of my
Durbin.
list.
It would change something. It would make the series
Brian?
better.
That's true. It would be better.
Yeah.
What?
It would make the series better. So, anyway.
Nicole, get over it. I'm just here for the popcorn.
You can't change how I feel. Intellectually, I agree with you. Emotionally, I don't. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what makes your heart tick. Because for a human being to be emotional at this episode boggles my mind. And
it's not even emotional to a huge level. It's just a little bit of a
any level any level whatsoever.
It's like literally the second worst episode of the season for me. So it's not a great episode.
Bound.
That's the only reason why it's not at the bottom.
Just saying Bound is worse than this. An episode that actually
feel
had
nothing
something
to
say.
You guys realize how long this episode has gone, and we still got to get to season 10.
Right, come on, right, ranking. No, who's gone?
I've still got to do.
Do we
my
have
best
any
of
comments
season 4.
from anyone listening?
Right, I've done the worst of season 4. It's obviously ageless. The best one is of season 4 is Transference.
That is a great episode. I really do love
my second
Transference.
Favorite. Yeah,
That's in the top 5 for me.
Yeah.
it's my second favorite. My
The Angels
favorite
is in the bottom 5.
My favourite of, I mean, obviously, Ageless is the worst, clearly, possibly of the entire series. For me, it's
Fell close second.
I am the villain of the story. You know,
Oh,
Onyx.
that is a good
It's
episode.
just like, yeah, seeing Rosenbaum get to just cut loose because he gets split in half, so he gets to do evil Lex and just cut loose with it.
I love it.
It's a great episode, and it's one of the few, possibly the only. I can't think of any at the moment, whether there is any others, but certainly Onyx is the only episode I can think of right now where there is no B plot, no B plot, no C plot. It's literally that's it. That is the plot, and it would make a perfect Smallville movie if they shaped it out to like an hour and a half. It's all about that plot. Every single scene is on that plot. No B stuff. So yeah, great stuff. Really great episode. Best of season 4 for me. Right.
It is fantastic. Yeah, I agree.
Let us get.
It's a great episode. I have nothing.
Yeah, there's
That's
nothing
the top
else to
5
say.
for me. So
But it's not as good as
again, your worst episodes in my bottom and your top episodes in my top. And I think that's going to change as we get to the next season.
But your worst episode ain't anywhere near my bottom. That's all I'm saying. Right.
All right, let's get to this ranking. I'm anxious to see what's next here.
Let's see what's
next. It's going to be 5.
So we've got another joint one here.
Oh boy,
So
I don't
we
like
got
the joint ones.
2 seasons.
Probably 9 and 5.
2 seasons that both had the same score, and those 2 seasons are.
Let's see.
Seasons 2 and 10,
2.
which is flipping shocking.
Huh. I would have thought 2 would be higher.
See, here's the thing.
Really?
No, Durban, hold that thought. Hold that thought.
How is 2 that
Because
low?
no. See, if you're noticing, right? If you are noticing these doubles where we get 2 that are tied, there is a significant difference that has led to them being in the same spot, which is that
It was
the guys have chosen the sensible option of season 2 being awesome, and the girls have chosen the not so sensible option of 10 being super awesome. Now, 10's a good season. It's good. Don't get me wrong.
No, wait. I have 2 ranked higher than 10.
Let me have a look.
I have 2 ranked higher than 10. I know that.
But they're right neck and neck with each other.
Just. Yeah. So you've got 2 and 10 right neck and neck. You got 2 just above. Let's have a look.
So Lisa was the one that pulled 2 down, not me. I just said
Thanks.
because 2 I think was my number 3.
Oh, hang on. Yes.
No,
yes,
there's
yes.
some great episodes in season 2.
Yeah, Lisa, you're taking sole blame on this. You've destroyed season 2.
Oh no.
You've taken one of the best seasons.
It's one of the best.
Like that. It's probably got the strongest opening set of episodes, save for 1 or 2. it literally had a run. There's a whole run where it's like 5-star episode, 5-star episode, 5-star episode. You know, Heat, Red. It's like the opener. It's just I don't know what you were thinking.
I don't know what Lisa was thinking either, because it's number 3 for me. So.
She's got season 2, right? Season 2 at number 9.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Number 9.
Wow.
Lisa, you killed the average.
No.
Number 9.
Right.
Number 9.
Do you know what?
No, you can't change it now. You've done stupid. You've got to stay. You've got to stay there.
Oh,
You've got to stay in the stupid zone now.
Insurgents, Ryan, Rosette. Oh, sorry. Can I read?
Smoking crack.
Think?
Crack. No, you can't change it now because you'll mess up my numbers. What's done is done. Take the blame. Sit in your corner. Wear your hat. That's it. Okay, let's move on.
Season 5.
But 10, I agree with. 10 is right where it should be right now.
I agree about that with 10. 10 is where it should be. 2 needs to be higher.
Yes, I put 10. I put season 10 at number 7.
Where did I put number 10, Brian? I forget.
You put number 10 at. You put season 10 at number 5.
Okay, right in the middle. That makes sense.
And me and Urban both put season 2 at number 3.
Yeah.
I did. Wait, I did too.
You put it at number 4.
No, it's number 3.
No, it's 4.
Oh, I forgot number 8. I forgot season 8 snuck up. Season 8's gone.
Oh, we'll get there, Nicole.
Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be exciting. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
All right.
Here we go.
Right.
I don't know
season
how
5.
Season 8.
Season
5. Season 5. Come on, guys. Come on.
Let's do this.
Pick up the pace.
Best and worst. Let's go. Who's got it first?
Right.
I think
We
it's
gotta
Nicole,
move it.
right?
We gotta move it.
So, Lisa. Season 5. Best and worst. Go.
Right, okay. I think the worst is, I don't know if Nicole's going to agree, but it's Hypnotic.
I think Nicole's going to agree.
So
it's not a good episode. I don't think it's a good episode.
It's an entertaining episode. I find it quite entertaining. I'm a defender of it. I'll admit. There is certainly a far worse episode in season 5.
Maybe that's where you and I are in agreement, Brian, about the far worst episode.
Yeah.
And then I think probably the best. Well, I'm just going to go with the majority and say Reckoning.
Yeah. Can we all just agree that Reckoning is the best season?
Reckoning is my favorite. No. Yes.
Although, wait, it's really tough for. It's not what I put.
Oh, Nicole.
But look,
just get on team, will ya?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I had a 4-way tie for my favorite in season 5. So it's really hard for me to decide between. Reckoning was, a really great episode.
There's no bigger episode, okay? His dad dies. Boom.
I know.
Yeah. This was the episode that changed.
And
the
they did
course
it for Lana.
I don't know what it is, but Hidden really just puts it over the top.
Which one was Hidden?
Which one was Hidden?
Why?
No.
I just
when he
remind
stops
me.
The nuclear warhead from killing everyone in Smallville and dies.
Yes, that is a
Okay.
fantastic episode. In fact, that would probably be in second place, with Reckoning being in my first place.
So
and it was
I
close.
feel much different than you guys. All right, it's
7:18 in the morning. That's when he died. Oh. But he came back. He's like
at 7:19 in the morning, he came back.
Hidden just cracks my top 5. It's at number 5 of season 5 for me.
Hidden is good. I really liked Hidden, but Reckoning took it for me just because the emotional punch of that episode. But it affects everything. It really affects the whole rest of the show, and they do a good job letting it affect the whole rest of the show.
I I got the. You know what's interesting is that, I kind of made that decision. I have to say, the first time I watched Reckoning, I don't know, maybe it's just because sometimes it does have a big emotional weight to it, and maybe that's why I kind of sometimes enjoy rewatching Hidden more. But on the first watch, I probably would have picked Reckoning because just how high and low emotionally I got in that episode. I'm actually surprised I didn't choose Reckoning.
I really like
I almost
Hidden.
go back and I almost feel like I should just say Reckoning because I felt
you should.
Because I feel the same way that I just my heart beating and how I really fell for it. They totally got me.
Yeah.
I
I really like Hidden. I really like Hidden.
So happy for him, and then they destroyed me, and I was like, oh.
The idea of some student-age kid going into a military missile silo and taking down soldiers, and then being able to set those missiles off, while it leads to an amazing set piece. It's what makes it my number 5 and not any higher. I also really love Mortal. I think Mortal's a great episode.
Mortal is my other one that tied.
Yeah.
Arrival, Mortal, Hidden, and Reckoning.
Mm-hmm.
Season 5 is fantastic. In any episode with Brainiac, I love.
Here's the thing: there's a lot of
Splinter's great. Lockdown.
I love Splinter.
The thing is with season 5 is those episodes were so great, but a lot of the rest of season 5, there was a couple other really good ones, but I wasn't really a big fan of. So that's what brings it down for me. But those episodes were just they were just so good.
Season 5 is a good season.
Durban.
All right, so I said my best, and it's Reckoning. There's nothing else I can add to that. Mm-hmm. My least favorite is Thirst. It was just an annoying, irritating.
We're on the same page. Boom.
Yep, same page. It's just irritating.
Thirst was not done well. I agree.
And Lana saying, again, I don't want to hear my boyfriend whine about his emotions. And all I could say is, when did he whine about his emotions? You're the whiner. You constantly go on about emotions and feelings.
No, I agree with that statement.
Yes. And the one thing that I noticed, the one thing that I pointed out and that I share with everyone.
Oh, I put it in my video, Brian, because you pointed this out.
You stole it.
I did steal it. I did. Thank you for letting me steal it.
You best have credited me for that in the.
I think I did, actually. I think I did.
You better. So basically, right, we know the thing that sets off the heat vision is sexual. You know, it's like
his hormones.
We saw it with Clark in the episode of Heat. Really no, Nicole, let me finish. Let me finish. Stop talking and let me finish. Okay, we know that his heat vision is set off by sexual arousal. Okay,
oh man.
So we saw that in Heat. Then we saw it with Lionel in Transference when he saw Martha. And then what happens when Lana gets Clark's powers? She sees a reflection of herself in the mirror and boom, shoots lasers from her eyes. She is so self-involved. It's right there. It's right there.
No, you got to think of it like Red Kryptonite, Nicole. Red Kryptonite takes what's in Clark, like where his inhibitions cover, and removes those inhibitions. That's what's going on with Lana. That self-love and self-involvement, she doesn't even have inhibitions in a normal day with that, and now it's even less so as a vampire.
I don't know that's what happened to her in Thirst. I don't really agree with that.
She sees herself in the mirror, her eyes light up, and then she shoots fire from her eyes.
It's not Kryptonian. It doesn't mean it's connected. All right. Anyway, we need to move on. Hypnotic, I hate it. I will not watch it, and these guys are going to make me watch it. So it is by far my worst episode of Smallville, not because it's not well done, which is actually it's not really that great well done, but it's not like not like Thirst level bad. Okay, I hate it.
Thirst is terrible.
We'll move on because we're gonna have a whole episode about it at some point.
All right, so we're next on our ranking, right? Everybody's gone.
Is that everyone? Yeah,
everyone's gone.
We all accept that Reckoning is the best of the season.
I think so.
Boom. Right.
Let's do it. Next in our ranking. What season falls
Where's
on
Lisa?
our official
Lisa,
ranking?
where are you? What are you doing?
She had to take a break.
Right.
For a minute.
Okay. All right. So, there you are.
There you are.
All right. Next.
Sorry, there was a cat stuck in a tree, and I just had to go and rescue it.
There you go. Like Superman.
Right.
Wonderful.
Much to Durban's chagrin,
no.
we have 2 seasons again.
No, come on! Why do we do this?
Sorry, they
it's gotta be season 5.
It's gotta be. They both got the same number of points.
8 or 9, probably.
And so, at
probably
numbers
5 and 8.
At number 3 and 4 collectively.
Okay, let's do this.
We have 5 and 9.
You guys just killed it. I'm sorry. You need to watch season 9 more. That's
No, you need to watch
unacceptable.
season 5 more. Listen.
I need to watch season 5 more.
Shush.
Really?
Right, here's the thing, okay? Both guys, season 5, number 1. Both ladies, season 9, number 1. So that right there is the reason there's no, like, so technically, if you really want to go by our thought processes, season 5 and season 9 should collectively be the Wall of Weirds number 1. So if you want to ask what does the Wall of Weird crew think is the best season of Smallville, collectively it is season 5 and season 9. But obviously because of those averages, we get a different season which kind of sits slightly below for all 4 of us, but is still pretty high up all of our lists. So that really cocks up the ranking.
This is very strange.
It is, but yeah,
We could post that on the Wall of Weird with a bit of a disclaimer. Yeah.
But if we all agreed, it wouldn't be interesting. So here
that's
we are.
true, and I'm glad we don't all agree. It's a fascinating conversation, and now I can't wait to get into season 6.
Season 9, right? The primary thing that bugs me is the casting of Zod. I can't take the guy seriously. I don't find him in the least bit threatening because of that crazy way he speaks with a semi-lisp and the way he just.
See, for me, it's not about finding him threatening, but it's how he's deceitful. And I get it. Like last time I watched it, I was thinking of you the whole time, Brian. I was like, yeah, I get what he doesn't like about this dude's accent, but I think he's a very, very interesting villain because he's Zod at a different point in his life, like right before he's crossed that bad guy line, but when he's about to cross that bad guy line. So we're
it's
actually
major, not general, yeah.
Yeah, so we're watching him cross that line.
I totally agree with you. I agree with everything you say. On the page, he's a fascinating version of Zod. But why the hell did they have to cast him?
I don't know.
Of all the actors they could have got.
Yeah.
He's good looking.
Have you watched The Tudors with Henry Cavill? Because Henry Cavill and Callum Blue are both in The Tudors.
Well, Henry Cavill.
I liked him. I'm just gonna say I liked him from the beginning. You guys have brought him down a little bit more because you keep talking bad about him, but I actually.
Henry Cavill hadn't made Man of Steel at this point. Now Henry Cavill would have been a flipping far better choice.
I could agree with that.
Far better choice.
Yes.
I don't think CW could have got him, but
no,
he wasn't anybody at that point.
That's true.
He was no different really to Callum Blue was with regards to where he was in his career. So,
all right, let's move along. Let's move along.
Yeah. Okay.
Hindsight is 2020.
So, guys, season 5.
Sorry,
girls,
I could talk about
9.
Henry Cavill all night, but carry on.
Right. Okay. Next up, we've got season 6.
Best and worst.
Nicole, best and worst. No, we did you first last time.
All right.
Lisa, best and worst. Go.
Right. Well, there was a lot of stuff to do with season 6, but I went with Justice. Just because it was the first episode that we got to see, the Justice League go together. And it was totally awesome, with the building being set on fire. So, yeah.
My favourite moment in Justice is when the Flash says a line that he wants. Impulse, yeah, says a line that he wants to get out there.
About the ponytail?
Yeah, and he goes, and I want a ponytail. Disappointment abound.
Like,
oh, yeah. I love that, yeah.
Okay.
That's great there, yeah.
And your worst?
I forgot now. Subterranean.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
That is a really bad one.
It is.
It's in the bottom for me.
Yeah.
The only redeeming thing about Subterranean is the walk at the end. Where Lex is walking down and they've all got the arms out with 3.1 and it's like...
But that's where Smallville's getting better at going, this episode's terrible, so we're going to throw this cool thing in it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So
because when he was building 33.1.
Yeah, so the whole episode is bad. And I know they're trying to get with Clark on the side of illegal aliens and stuff, but no, it's just.
I think they're just trying to deal with the fact that he himself is kind of an illegal immigrant, and so kind of his plight and sympathizing with them. But I didn't feel that at all when I was watching it. Like I just that connection did not happen for me as I'm watching the episode.
Like if you look at Ryan, that another episode in which Clark kind of befriends a kid and becomes a parental figure. That's done so much better.
Way better.
And I feel like they're clearly trying to do the same kind of thing here. And it just,
can you all say you haven't cried for Ryan?
Ryan.
Put your hands up if you've not cried at Ryan.
I got a lump, but that was about it. So. Right. But it was still, still very good. But that's how to do it. This is not. Subterranean is my worst as well. My favourite, and I feel like Nicole isn't going to agree with me here. I seem to have memories that she doesn't like this one. No, I feel like she doesn't like this one for some reason. But for me, it's Reunion. I knew it. We're not compatible. We're not compatible. Reunion, I love because again, it's a Lex-centric episode. I always love when they go into Lex's past and we see the ways in which he was shaped. I love the dichotomy of the two rich kids and the role reversal in which essentially Lex becomes who Oliver was, and Oliver becomes an approximation of where it seemed Lex was going. And it's just like, and it's really about accepting your actions, owning up to your actions, or choosing to push them aside and make excuses for your life. But I love it. There's no freak of the week kind of thing.
Favorite episode really was Reunion.
Yes.
All right.
I like it.
I do like
it. Justice is my number two.
I just
Justice is my number two, but ultimately
favorite.
It is
the whole season.
No,
Reunion.
Yes, of the whole season. Okay. Listen, Justice, right, is it's the fanboys kind of episode, but at the end of the day, it is pretty hollow because it's all about getting that version of the Justice League together, fanboying out, great action scenes. It's an action-oriented episode.
Okay.
But Reunion for me is character-driven, story-based, and that to me is what film and television should be about.
And I do like it, guys, for both of you, Brian and Durban. It's there's a reference to Gotham in it as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, go ahead, Durban. Because you're probably going to flop mine, which is going to be really interesting.
Oh boy. Well, my favorite of season 6 is Labyrinth. I love that episode where the Phantom gets into Clark's head and Clark is stuck in that labyrinth. And I think the thing that I love about it is it really is kind of this battle of faith and belief. You got the Phantom that is lying to him and presenting him this incredibly realistic lie. Jarrell, look, that's just a soap. I mean, you're just taking your environment and you're turning it into this thing because you don't fit in anywhere. And it was
Can I say something about this episode for a second?
Go ahead.
When my first watch, now remember I binge watched it. So when I got to this episode, there was a moment when I was watching it that I said, are they really just screwing with us right now? Like, are they really going to turn around and be like, ha ha, you thought it was about Superman? And they did such a good job.
Yes, they did.
I mean, it was amazing. I agree with you on that, although it's not my favorite episode, but it was really well done.
Well, the other thing that I love about it
much better than Reunion.
We've seen a little bit of Martian Manhunter slightly introduced before this, but I feel like this is the first episode where we really meet him. And so you have the Phantom that is this lying voice, and like you said, Nicole, the lie is actually pretty legit the way it's presented, and you're kind of like, oh crap, is this show giving us a twist? But then you have the Martian Manhunter, who is the voice of truth, trying to speak into Clark's life like, you know who you are, be confident in who you are. And that's what you have to do to get out of this prison that you're trapped in your mind. But he also had this tinge of sounding a little bit crazy. And so it was this incredibly interesting episode about what voice is Clark going to listen to. And when it finally got down to the end and he strangles that doctor and he wakes up and there's Martian Manhunter casting out that phantom and sucking it into that crystal, I was like, holy crap, this is pretty epic. And it was a great introduction to Martian Manhunter. So I love that. My least favorite is Nior. And the reason I picked Nior as my least favorite is I didn't even find it fun.
I'm surprised. Okay. I didn't like that one either.
Well, and the reason I picked it above other ones that I could have made my worst is because, honestly, I can't even remember what the plot is about. It just seems so useless. It felt like a complete pointless filler. It, to me, served no purpose. And I just went, why would you do this? Just don't do a rerun this week and come back to a new one next week. And so...
Yeah. We're talking about Noir here. Yeah.
Well, there was an interesting part with
Noir,
plot development with the fact that Lana was trying to backstab Lionel and Lex. So there was some setup with that. But yeah, it's not a very good. I'm not a big fan of like old movies though. So I guess
the thing with Noir, it just reminded me of, and maybe Brian might jump in here, the episode to do with the new adventures of Lois and Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they did a black and white
which was done
episode.
better, I thought. I thought they did it better.
Yeah, and Lois was singing, and it was just like a copy of it. Yeah.
All right, so again, I'm gonna say my ratings. If I was rating in terms of one rate for other people to see, my ratings would be different than my ratings of what I personally feel, because it's very personal. It's very emotional based, and I'm usually a very logical person, but when it comes to this, I'm gonna say, so for me, my favorite episode and close to like top 5 of the entire series for me, and you guys are gonna hate it, is Promise. And it's for the same reason that Reckoning is for you, okay? Because I had that level of emotion in that episode, the high and the low, just like Reckoning. It destroyed, and I loved seeing the different perspectives of the day from different characters. It was very interesting, especially it's the only time in the whole show that someone sees Clark use his powers without the effects, so you can actually see what it looks like to a normal person.
That part was interesting. I really how she saw that.
And it was very interesting. I loved how they did the episode and how they took us through the emotional journey of every character in this very monumental episide, which, by the way, Lex murders someone in this episode. So it was big, and I loved it. My least favorite was Static. Hate that episode.
Oh, that's not a good episode. It's very strange.
And again, it's emotional. I just don't like Lex and Lana, and it made me feel uncomfortable the entire time they were playing that them coming together, and it bothered me. Didn't like it.
I think it's just so bothering because that Lex Lana thing is not remotely believable, and so you're just watching this and you're like, she doesn't care that he's gone.
Well, I think because you missed it, Durbin. We'll get there. As much as I hate Lex and Lana, they did build it up to the whole series. I knew what they were doing, and I didn't like any step of the way from Nicodemus all the way through. So that's why. Again,
one of the things that I don't like about season 6, you know, you mentioned about Lex killing someone in Promise. It's like, do you realise who he killed?
Who did he kill? A doctor.
Yeah. But do you know who the doctor played in Superman and Lois? It's Jonathan Kent.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, Lex killing Jonathan Kent. Come on, man.
Oh, yeah. They went too far with Lex.
It's like the guy who played Dr. Landon in that episode. It was Jonathan Kent. Wow. So that gets me watching it all again.
All right.
Okay.
What's next?
Get back to
Ryan?
our ranking. Let's see this ranking. I dread it.
Well,
Let's
actually,
do it.
no, we're not going to the ranking just yet because if you remember, we've doubled up on a few of them. So I'm going to save the ranking now. I'm going to go straight to season 7.
Let's do it.
So
Okay, let's pick up the pace here.
get rid of season
can do
6. Get onto season 7. Nicole, go.
Season 7.
Season 7. Favorite episodes: Bizarro.
That's good. It's good.
Just great episode.
It is.
I mean, oh god, some of the special effects they did in that one, really cool. I loved watching like when they punched him and the rock broke. I mean, that was
Yeah.
so cool. I mean,
That
went
whole
right
fight scene was epic.
Oh, that was so cool. And then it was very interesting when Bizarro goes and sees Lex, and isn't this what you always wanted? You know, the Clark.
Yeah.
Said that was cool. And the worst was Hero. God, what
Is that the Pete
they should not have
Ross
done that
episode?
Oh god.
The chewing gum.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah.
the Trident commercial.
Oh, yes,
Trident
okay.
commercial. I'm sorry. And yeah, it was just really it's not. I didn't like that they should have just not brought back Pete to bring him back like that.
Yeah.
They didn't even have Pete come to Jonathan's funeral, but they had him in this episode.
No, Pete deserved better than what that return was in season 7.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay. Lisa?
The best about season 7 was Descent.
It's a good episode.
Yeah.
It is.
I love the
Yeah.
funeral too. Oh,
Oh, the
So-
funeral.
so
they're
good.
going.
So did Descent, just bearing in mind, remember season 7 I've only seen twice. Descent is the one when he kills Lionel, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's
Yes.
the one.
It
Because
shoves him out of the window, and it's like, ooh, yeah. And then there's the epic scene where Clark and Alexa are against
yeah.
each other in the.
you blaming me for my father's death?
Well, the emotion in that episode is high. It's so good.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
good.
And then the
Another
worst
father death.
Yeah, and then the worst episode. Sorry to bring the llama drama
Redemption of
into
Lionel.
it. It's going to be Wrath.
Which one?
Wrath.
Wrath, which one's that now?
Wrath?
None
That's
of
the
us
one
can
where
remember
Lana
it.
gets hit by lightning and gets Clark's powers.
Oh, Wraith.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh,
Wraith.
Wraith.
I
You know
thought-
what
Wraith?
makes-
Wrath?
Wraith.
Oh, sorry.
Wraith.
That's
Yeah.
Wraith.
You know what makes that
That's
episode
right.
even
What?
worse
That's your worst? I really like that episode.
is the fact
No,
that Lana
I
has
love
this
it,
line.
but I hate it because Lana going bad. You know,
no, but
with
it's
all
what
the
needed to happen. I mean, it was.
It didn't need to happen.
It did. It needed to happen. She had to get to that point to then start to, you know.
No, what that does is sow the seeds for season 8, which was a monkey wrench into that season. Ugh.
I tell you what needs to happen is Durban needs to get
That's
his
a
best
whole
and his
nother
worst.
episode,
Come on.
Durban. We're not
All right,
getting
all right.
into that. All right,
So
Durban,
my
go.
best and my worst. This is going to sound really familiar.
Move
My
on.
favorite is Descent. And for all the reasons that we just said, I love the emotion when the final lines between Lex and Lionel, very season 3 reminiscent, and Lionel, the last ditch effort. What if I told you even now you were the one? And it's like, oh, come on, Lionel. And then he throws him out the window. I love the slow motion shot where Lionel's body's on the ground and the police lights, blue and red, are flashing. And then Lex and Clark's eyes lock and they're walking through the crowd. Their eyes lock with the red and the blue flashing. I love the emotion in that scene. And I'm trying to remember what else. But yeah, in the funeral at the end where Clark loses another father figure. And I can understand Lex's anger here. I mean, Lex didn't have a single father because Lionel was a terrible dad. And by the time Lionel repented, Lex is a terrible person, and now Lionel's gravitating towards Clark. So it's like this total unfair situation, and you feel that. My least favorite episode is not Wrath, apparently, Wraith. And I hate that episode. And one of the reasons that I absolutely hate it is because Lana, in the very beginning, she sets the tone for everything. Once she gets Clark's powers, she says, Clark, you've had these powers all your life. I think I can handle it. And I'm like, you self-centered. I mean, I had to bite my tongue. I'm like, what audacity do you have? You've had these for 2 freaking seconds. I mean, right there, and that line sums up all of my Lana drama problems right there. And it's back to the
But we're not going to go into them.
We're not. But it's the joke we made in season 5 where she looks in the mirror and blows it up with her heat vision. It's the same joke, though, where it's like, is that really how self-involved you are? But then just watching her kind of grow. And I get what you're saying, Nicole, why it's necessary, because she really does reach this dark point, and then she realizes she's got to make some changes.
Well, and Clark had to find out, too. And
Clark had to find out. And so, like, I do get what you're saying about kind of the necessity of it, but it doesn't change how utterly annoying it was for me.
I'm just glad we're on the same page there.
Yes.
Best and worst of season 7, yeah.
Okay. So, Nicole, did you go? You went, didn't you?
I did.
Mercenary X84 wants me to get into that Lana drama.
No, not right now. We'll have a whole podcast.
We're gonna have a whole episode dedicated.
Right. Okay. My dream of bringing this in under 2 hours is now
officially dead. Well, you got 10 minutes. We could do it in 10 minutes. Let's go.
Right. So my favorite and my worst. Again, it's a difficult season for me. This one to kind of rate, because I've compared to seasons 1 to 6, I've not seen it anywhere near as much. Now, I did actually put down as my favorite Persona, which is the one where
I really like that one.
Yeah, Bizarro comes back, and
that was
the whole episode. He goes to bed with Lana, and it's like,
please, Bizarro, take Lana off to Paris.
It's just that was really good. Hearing you guys talk about Descent, and just looking on IMDb and seeing that is actually the highest rated episode of the season according to IMDb users, does kind of make me think, maybe that one was number 1, to be honest. So I think I am actually going to go with the Descent, because some real big stuff does happen in that episode. I think first time I saw it, I don't think I was too happy with the fact that they killed Lionel in the opening scene. I felt like that should have been something that an episode led towards rather than beginning on.
I thought you didn't like when the episode before ended with the big moment.
Yeah, I do if everything that came before it is big. You know what I mean? If everything that's in it is worthy of having that moment. But if you got an episode that is not even related to that moment, and then you just throw that in, I don't like that. But if we'd have had quite a bit of sparring going on between Lex and Lionel, and we see this darkness really taking hold of Lex throughout the episode, and then boom, kills him, leaves you on this, holy crap. That to me would have had a bit more impact. Even so, yeah, I think Descent would probably with a few more watches, Descent's probably going to be my number 1. I reckon.
Well, it isn't Descent also where he mentally kills that child version of himself. Like that's a powerful scene where it's like he kills his innocence once and for all in that episode too.
Big time.
Throws them in the fire.
My least favorite episode is Sleeper, which is where Jimmy goes all 007, and I'm not convinced.
Terrible.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I agree. I said I don't like that one.
You're not James Bond.
Yeah, it was just, it didn't work. He doesn't, he can't pull that off. And at that point in the series, I really wasn't that enamoured with Jimmy as a character anyway. So a Jimmy-centric episode and one that was this bad really didn't help matters. So, yeah, not a good episode for me.
Oh, God, I really didn't like that either.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Jimmy fan, I'm going to be honest.
No.
It's like no one's mentioned Noir.
So, where are we?
What's next?
We are at season 8 now, right?
We're at season 8, so let's get into season 8.
Let's knock this out.
Let's knock it out of the park. Season 8. I'll go first on this one. Season 8, my favourite is... I struggled with season 8. Now, season 8 is one where, as an overall season, it's so solid. It really is solid.
Except for that one segment in the middle.
Yeah. I felt like... No, don't get into it. I felt like it's got a very solid arc that is worked out across the whole of the season, and that is its strength. Now, where it doesn't quite stack up with the likes of, say, season 3, season 5, is that the 5-star episodes in it are just about 5-star episodes. They're not like, Memoria, boom, that is without doubt a 5-star episode. So for me, my favourite was Legion. It's just, again, by any other season standards, it'd be just about a 5-star episode. But it's good. It's a very good one. It's one that the more I watch it, I enjoy all the more, with the the Legion of Superheroes coming from the future and seeing Clark, and we see him through their eyes from what they know about his legend, and Clark has got to kind of deal with that, having not had this legend yet, not be he's being told what he's going to become, and it's like, don't know if I can live up to that. Thank you very much. But then proves that actually he is certainly the man who will live up to that because in this episode
we never saw the baseball thing. Yeah, which is something iconic from the original Superman movie with the baseball.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
It's just something to throw in there.
My least favourite was Instinct, which is the Maxima episode.
That's pretty terrible.
I liked that episode.
I don't know. I liked it.
To me, as a guy, it just reeks of let's get a hot woman in a really short skirt going around doing sexy stuff.
The day it aired, I was watching and I went, "Oh, is it
Yeah.
Sweeps Weeks? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, is that the reason this is happening?"
Yeah,
But I love the development.
We need a bit of
Lois
wild
and Clark.
cherry.
That was huge. That was huge. When they were building up Lois and Clark.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me, to be honest. I just and
Well,
again,
it was
the
so
fact
jealous,
that the person she decides to latch onto is Jimmy, just really, really, okay.
And she thinks Jimmy's a Kryptonian. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is a bad storyline. Yeah.
That is not the best. That's the best part of the episode. But I enjoyed the episode, so I love watching it.
Yeah.
I did like this episode because that's where sort of like you see that Lois really had affections for Clark.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what between the two of them actually, because all of a sudden things were changing in early season 8, and this was one of the episodes that showed that that these two were getting feelings for each other, romantic feelings.
I do have to qualify my comments by saying I do have to qualify my comments by saying, as with the fact that the 5-star episodes in this one aren't like proper like 5-star episodes, the lower rated episodes in this, again, they're not like ageless kind of low. They're not like, because it was just a solid season. It's like whereas other seasons go like that, this one's kind of like that across the board. And that's
I appreciate that, Brian. Yeah.
So Durban, best and worst.
All right. So my favorite episode of season 8 is Infamous. At first, I didn't think it was going to be my favorite, but the more I thought about it, I love seeing the world know Clark Kent is the last Kryptonian and their reaction to that. Then the negative reaction to that, because we know why Clark has to keep his identity. He has to protect his loved ones. Yeah. This time, the show showed us why he has to be that way and protect his loved ones. But it also had this amazing storyline between Lois and Clark. I mean, you said it, Nicole, like you see this season that relationship is beginning to change. This is one of my favorite parts because Lois loved that trust that Clark invested in her. And when Clark had to go back and change everything, it was heartbreaking because, number one, we know he's going to do it because we know this can't last. We know the legend of Superman. But it was heartbreaking because the way they made you feel it, at least in my opinion, is where Lois is saying, when you go back, you're not going to tell me, are you? And to me, this didn't have that same feeling as the back and forth between Lana and Clark. Like, it had a different feel to it. And I just went, I want Lois to know so bad. And so that whole thing.
No, I always wanted Lana to know. So now you know how I feel. So here's the thing. That bothered me a little bit about this moment in Infamous. While I had to kind of figure it out on my own where Clark's headspace was around it. Mm-hmm. And I guess I was a little bit when he says the line, "No, Lois, it's because you are special." It took me a while to really figure out what did he mean by that. It wasn't really clear by what was presented on screen. And, I had to kind of come to that because he wants to protect her, that's where it comes from. But it just wasn't clear. And then another part that wasn't clear about this episode is something that I had to kind of figure out on my own later. I felt like, again, wasn't really shown enough to the audience was why he stood her up. And again,
I didn't like that part either. But
really obvious to me later, like, oh, duh, he just had this huge thing with Lana. He's afraid to do this again with anyone else. And he's not in that right place yet. I mean, it would be really bad if he just broke up with Lana and then went on a date with Lois the next episode.
There was so much wrong with the jump from season 4, episode 14 to 15.
Yes, that's the problem. If there was more,
actually, hold on. Let me do this for a second.
But no, it wasn't a problem with Requiem on your own or Infamous on its own, but because they were butted against each other, it was a big problem.
But so let me get into this a little bit because it's a 4-way tie for my least favorite episode of season 8. And I give Legion a break because Legion was actually quite interesting, even though that's the one where Lana is, still back. But
I don't know what's wrong.
And I don't want to get into the Lana drama. So if I take the Lana drama and all my beef with Lana and I put that aside, I don't like how season 8 does this amazing job really showing the friendship form between Lois and Clark. Then that friendship starts to become something more, and they do such a good job with it. Then disjointedly, they throw Lana back into the mix. I mean, I think they were thinking they were doing something cool here, but the way they took Lois out of the picture and then made everything so Lana.
So I want to have a whole episode on this.
We will. But this is just my personal thoughts as to why these are my least favorite. And again,
let him say it, but don't respond. Okay, let him say it, but don't respond.
So it's like it was disjointed because you have built this beautiful thing, and this beautiful thing built between Lois and Clark should have affected how he was feeling with Lana. It's fine if he wanted to still have feelings for her, but now he has feelings for Lois, and I feel like they forgot about it too quick, and he just got excited to be back with Lana. Then, like you guys said, that's the one thing I don't like about Infamous is that immediate jump from Lana is gone, and now we're forgetting that whole thing happened as if it was a bad dream. Those 4 episodes are so oddly disjointed from what they really began to build in the season. It doesn't even make sense. So if I actually cut those episodes where Lana is gone, Infamous still remains my favorite episode where Clark is figuring out his feelings that he's developing for Lois because the Lana stuff didn't even matter. And that's why it's just not my favorite. I don't like how they dealt with any of that.
Okay, so who's not gone? Lisa? Best and worst? Season
8. Season 8. Stiletto.
No, do not tell me that's your favourite.
Which one?
Stiletto.
Oh,
no.
I mean, I really like
that's your
Stiletto.
favourite.
I mean, it's not the worst.
A little bit of a stretch for
Best, sis. That's one of them joke episodes that they put in between some decent episodes just to break up the.
That episode is super boring.
Wait, what happened in that episode that was super boring? I don't remember.
That's the beginning of the relationship between Lois and the Blur.
I know, but it's done in such a hokey, like.
And
that's where Smallville goes. This is a terrible episode.
There's a huge arc for Lois, and it's a huge arc for Lois and the Blur, which is obviously
I just can't take her seriously in that stiletto
I can't
costume.
Give it my favorite, but whatever. What's your worst? I really like the episode, but it's not my number one. What's your worst, Lisa?
Requiem.
Okay.
Now, this might turn into a llama drama, but
I'll do my best.
I really think that Clark and Lana should have had a decent send-off. There's your relationship. You've ended it because of this and that, and not because, you can't touch each other.
Yeah.
It was a perfect metaphor from the beginning to the end of their relationship.
It's a perfect metaphor that Lana was I'm sorry, go on.
No, it's true, but that is true.
I'm kidding.
But it's true and not true, and we can get into that later. Okay. But
let's not get into any of it. It was Lisa's choices. She's explained why she's made those choices.
Okay.
We don't need to get into it. Okay. So, Nicole, have you gone?
Some people are gonna hate my choices here.
Go.
Or all of you. Bride's my number 1.
Right. Before you continue, I will just validate you by saying IMDb users agree with you. Bride has the highest rating of any episode in season 8 on IMDb. So there you
go. Reasons why I love Bride. I loved Lois and Clark. Oh, they were they're connecting.
Yes.
The cufflink scene, especially the dance scene. There was nothing said, but the way that it played, there was like a million things were going on in their heads, and it was amazing. And as
everything
much as people,
you said so far,
as much as people hate when it's broken up, I think it was a good thing that they didn't kiss there, because it created angst and it made you want it more, and it made it better when it actually happened. Also, I mean, you had Godzilla come in, and you literally had Bridezilla come in and destroy the wedding. That was pretty awesome.
I remember seeing that moment for the first time when it aired, and I was just like, "Whoa, that's Doomsday!" I was just Jimmy just got nailed by Doomsday.
And I know you all are going to disagree with the next reason why I liked it. As much I love Lois and Clark, but I also love Clark and Lana, and I know exactly how Clark felt, because I felt the same way going through this episode. Where at first I was totally invested in Lois and Clark. I wanted them to happen so bad, and at the moment Lana came in, at first I was like, what the? And then they had that scene up in the loft, and they just have amazing chemistry, and they just pulled me back in, and I was like, how could you pull me back in? I was over you. I was over it. And they pulled me back in, and I felt like Clark felt like, oh, these feelings just don't go away.
Don't take the bait, Durbin. Don't take the bait.
I'm not.
Anyway. I loved everything about Bride. I love the fact that he had the flower, although I don't know how it survived the tornado. But
that's a good point, actually. I have no idea how it did
really
that.
Beautiful, and I love that Lois was there to see it. I mean, that was just great, and the whole going after Lex thing was really interesting too. And the talk that Lois and Oliver had was awesome. It's just great. It's a really emotional episode. Huge thing. The least favorite was Toxic. See, if you notice a theme in these episodes, Static, Clark was in one scene or maybe 3 scenes in the whole episode. Toxic, he also doesn't play a big. So if Clark is not part of the main focus of the episode, I
really like this one. This gives a bit of background into
it does give us a bit of background for Oliver, but I didn't. First of all, I thought it was ridiculous. I didn't like the backstory that much. I saw Arrow first. Okay,
I was just gonna say that
seemed ridiculous when I saw this episode. I was like, really? He became Green Arrow because of that? It's just that's what ruined. Honestly, that's what ruined Oliver Queen for me in Smallville, because I saw Arrow first. And so it just didn't live up to the badass that he was on Arrow.
I can agree.
And so I was just
I've always said
so
that
I think
that Stephen Amell has the physicality nailed for Green Arrow. Do not all that stuff. But for me, I've always found that Justin Hartley has the charisma side of things.
What's interesting to me about people say that, right? But for me, I don't have any comic bias about what Oliver Queen should be, right? So if I just look at the 2 characters and how they were portrayed, much more Arrow is much more compelling for me in every single way. But he probably is more like Batman than Oliver Queen, and Smallville's is more like actual Oliver Queen. But I don't care. I prefer the the Arrow one. So it's hard for me to take him seriously because I'm like his skills aren't even portrayed that well. I mean I do like some of his arcs throughout the series, but that's why I wasn't compelled in this story. And it's just it's not bad. I just
Yep. All right, we'll move on. I will say Bride is my number 2. So it was very close to being my number 1.
I don't dislike Bride. I think it's a good episode.
We've also got a comment there from Chris Anderon saying, "I love that barn background you have."
Thank you.
There you go. Right. So moving on. Well, actually, we'll do a ranking. We'll do a ranking, then we'll do the other 2 seasons, and then we'll do the final bit of the ranking. So next up on our ranking, we had. Was it? Yeah, that was the one we had. So next up is at number 2. Is season 3. Yeah.
It's a great season.
It's a fantastic season. For the longest time, I proclaimed season 3 as my number 1. It's actually moved down to my number 3 since going through the series again.
It was my number 2, so I mean, obviously I love it.
Yeah. Again, for me, it's just that there's a lot of like stuff with the Adam Knight in there. I think kind of drags it down a bit. There's a bit of a lull in the midsection, but the 5-star episodes in season 3.
I do love the Morgan Edge stuff.
Yeah, I love them. I love those 2 opening episodes, the Morgan Edge stuff. I love all the stuff with Lex and Lionel. Really delving deep into Lex's past. Again, like I say, Memoria, probably one of my all-time favorite episodes. It's just, yeah. When
season 3 was excellent. I mean, there was just so many really good episodes in season 3. There was not very many. I have very little that's like got low. That's why Suspect ended up so low because, or no, season 3. Sorry, Magnetic. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really. Velocity was also crappy, but it's a really great season. Gonna agree with you there. Obviously, we all probably had it right at the top of our list.
Yeah,
and I think it's to do with the Lionel and his deviances and stuff and all.
Yeah, Lex and Lionel were awesome. Clark was awesome in that season. And
really got to see how the red kryptonite
spectacular. It was really interesting. It was really interesting, and I mean it.
And we also got the first instance of a bit like they do in comic books, the way supervillains team up. You know, when we go into Asylum. That was quite a big episode because.
Oh yeah, I love an Asylum.
Yeah, because just because we've got 3 villains returning and they team up, and it's just like, oh, this is like a
awful lot of people that know you in here.
Yeah. This is like
we've got Eric, Van McNulty, and
the twins.
Although I never understood why Eric was considered a meteor freak because. Couldn't anyone do that? Like, why was that?
Yeah, he just made bullets.
It's because he, but it's because he had the knowledge in it. And he's not going to share that knowledge with anyone when he knows right. So he's going to keep that to himself. So that gives him a sense of power over Clark because he's like, I get you in the right spot, mate. I'm taking your power. So, yeah.
I suppose it's same with the Injustice episode as well. Anyway,
Moving on.
Right. Okay, we just had a bunch of comments. Chris Anderon really hitting that comment section there. Yes, Asylum was great. Right, okay. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there.
Season 9, best and
Season
worst.
9. Getting to the finish line. Let's go.
Let's do this.
Right. I'll make this pretty simple because I don't have a worst for this because I've still not gotten around.
I got a worst for season 9. I got a worst ready to go.
Right now, there's one episode that even though I've only seen it twice, it is an absolute standout for me. It's very memorable. It's instantly the one that I'm like,
worst or bad?
For best, I don't have a worst because I can't say I know the season well enough to put my finger on and say, yeah, that's the worst. But certainly the best, the one that sticks out at me is the one that I really want to get back to, is Absolute Justice. It's a feature-length episode. It's basically a movie. It's a Justice League movie, made for television Justice League movie, and it's just they throw everything into the pot. It's written by Jeff Johns, who is like a massive force in the world of comic books, and he knows his stuff. He knows his history. He knows his Superman history, and he just this episode throws everything but the kitchen sink into it, and it's just it's a blast. It's ridiculous in equal measure, but if you're a comic book nerd, you can go with it, and it's just one moment after another for you to geek out at if you're a comic book nerd. So fantastic episode.
It's great. It's a blast, and I love it for the fact that for everyone who's watching Stargirl, we've just got all the characters going through, and it's like, but Courtney Whitmore, he's originally on Smallville. It's coming through on Stargirl, you know.
And I love it when Clark and Dr. Fate meet. That's incredible. And Dr. Fate's first lines to Clark are, "Your fate is utterly binding." I mean, like, just from that moment on, it's just like, holy cow. It was a good episode.
So, okay, Durban.
Well, my favorite is Salvation, the season finale of season 9. And I picked that one for a lot of reasons. I mean, I love the action. I mean, that slow motion fight where Zod and Clark are fighting like humans because of the blue kryptonite is incredibly awesome. But one of the things that I really liked, and I do this a lot on my channel, is because you look at it through that theological perspective, they went really heavy with the Messiah picture of Clark in this episode to the point of him falling off a roof in a crucified position. But what I think they did really, really well with that is you see two groups of people oppressed by Zod. So Zod is like the devil here, and he's oppressing the people. So he's oppressed the Kryptonians with lies. He's come as this angel of light. They're following him, and Clark sets them free with the truth. It's kind of weird. Zod whispers to Clark, and everybody hears it. It's like, come on, Zod. You've had these powers long enough. You know they can all hear a whisper. But yes, that's true. He does get emotional, and I'll give that to him. But it's interesting. So Clark sets them free with the truth, and then he's ready to ascend with them to this new dimension, to New Krypton. But Zod holds him back with the blue kryptonite, and we have that epic fight. But in order to save Earth from Zod's oppression, Clark takes the blue kryptonite dagger in himself and jumps off the roof so Zod could be ripped away from the world. Thus, Clark saved the world from the rule of Zod. And so it was very cool how through Clark's sacrifice, they took this very messianic picture of Clark, and he became the salvation for both the new Kryptonians and planet Earth. It was very interesting. On top of the fact it's the episode Lois finds out that he is the Blur and all that. So lots of things in this episode that were really good. Least favorite of season 9 was Warrior. I did not like that episode where the kid got the magic comic book and became Warrior Angel. I mean, just make him Shazam. I mean, if you're going to go in that direction, it's Shazam. We all know it's Shazam. I don't know why they didn't do that. But it's just, to me, it was just a lame episode.
Lois and Clark just saved that episode for me, though. If the two of them didn't have such great moments in there, then I would agree with you, because it kind of, execution-wise. But yeah, they're just so fun that it was.
There's a lot of fun with Lois and Clark that even in these later seasons that takes some of the worst episodes and makes them better. Like I love the Lois and Clark relationship so much.
Well, the thing with Warrior is like Lois had her stormtrooper outfit on, and then she ended up in the costume for Wonder Woman. He's like,
I always get a bit iffy with anything based around the whole Warrior Angel stuff, just because I just find it a little bit too hokey.
Yeah.
It did come close to derailing the Ryan episodes, but thankfully everything else around those was pretty strong. But yeah, every time they pull out the Warrior Angel stuff, I'm like, Nicole.
So, season 9 is by far my favorite season, by far.
I'll be there with you.
Because in terms of, it's ridiculous because most of my ratings are between 2 and 6, and I have like a couple that are 1.5. Season 9, I have nothing below a 3, that's how much I love. And even at 3, I only have 2 episodes that are 3. So, and you. Now I said top.
Best and worst, Nicole.
Season,
best
right?
and worst. Come on.
That's what I'm going to say. My worst is in season 9. Roulette.
Oh yeah.
It's another.
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite either.
I liked Roulette. I did.
It's one of the episodes where I was really disliking Chloe.
Yeah,
which
did
are
not
very
like
few.
Chloe.
I love Chloe, so it's sad.
And she took extreme measures to get her friend back. But that's all that was left. The guy was literally killing himself. So like she actually, what other choice did she have? She couldn't talk to him. She wasn't listening. She wasn't listening to anything that she was saying. So yeah, but
I know. I don't enjoy. It's a 3, so I don't hate it, Brian.
Yeah.
All right. I just don't enjoy it. There's not much. I mean, I like the little. My favorite part is little Lois and Clark banter at the beginning when they're having movie night. But surprised a little bit that Clark wouldn't take that opportunity and that he was so dedicated to helping others that night. All right, it just seemed a little odd to me. But
and what's your favorite?
It was funny, but it was a little strange. I have so many favorites in season 9. This is a really hard choice.
It's 2:30 in the morning here, Nicole. What's your favorite?
Salvation. I know my kids. It's a school night, and it's not good. Salvation is my number 1. So I agree. Obviously, Pandora is right there, but I'm not. I love that episode, but I'm not gonna talk about it. All right, moving on because my kids. I gotta get upstairs.
Yeah, I've got to get my kids up in 4 hours. So yeah. Lisa, did you say your?
Right. Okay. I'm gonna go straight with what Nicole said. Best episode, worst episode. Yeah. Worst episode. Yeah. Roulette. Best episode. Well, I was. Is it going to be Pandora? Is it going to be Salvation? No, Salvation.
Right. Yeah, so we both ended up choosing Salvation, but really tough. Pandora was right.
There's a lot of good ones to pick from in season 9.
Okay.
Season 9 is the best. Come on.
It's the best. And Brian needs to watch it again.
Final season.
Let's do it. Season 10. Best and worst. Let's knock it out of the park.
You thought season 9 was bad, that I'd only seen it twice. Season 10, I've only seen once.
Oh, good.
So, right. Season 10. I'm just going to knock this right out. My favourite, it's finale. On an objective level, I don't think finale is like the best episode. But on a subjective level, it just it wraps everything up and it gives us everything that we'd been leading to for 10 years.
Well,
and it does it with such heartfelt kind of unabashed, unashamed cheesiness that it's just, it has you cheering. It's like, yes, we're there finally. It's I love it. It's I've only seen it once, but I love it. It was great. It's just got a lot of fondness.
You've only seen it once. Me and Nicole have only seen it once this week.
Yeah, I've lost count how many times I've seen season 1 to 4. So
Oh my gosh, Ryan.
Hush your mush. Tell me what your favourite and your least favourite are. Nicole, go.
All right, my favorite's the finale, and that's not just the favorite for the season; it's my favorite for the entire series. I have to, yes, and I have to make note that Homecoming used to be my series favorite, so it's right up there. What's interesting to me about season 10 is that it has those 2 episodes in it, which are my top 2 of the entire series. So it really elevates season 10 because of that. There's a lot of other episodes where they're good but not great. There's not very many that are horrible, but I don't particularly like Booster because that character annoys me.
Yeah, that character annoyed me too.
And I know he's supposed to annoy you, but it doesn't make it very enjoyable to watch. So he does redeem himself, and you do get to see Clark finally putting on the Clark persona, which is, that stuff was good. It was done well. It just didn't. That character just annoyed me.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
The finale was just awesome. I mean, the Clark and Lex scene, the Lois and Clark wedding. I mean, it's just the door scene. I mean, it just the Kents in the barn. I mean, there was just so much that just grabbed me emotionally, and then they gave us everything.
It's so great. Yeah, I love it.
It's so great. It's so great. And you need to watch it again, like today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
I still need to get through season 9 as well first. I just realised that I didn't give a worst for season 10. Now I know I've only seen the season once, but there was an episode that kind of, for some reason, sticks in my memory as me not enjoying, and it was Harvest, and it's because it's all tied up with this religious cult thing, and I just didn't like where it was going, but. It's because my memories of it could be getting tied towards my memories of something similar from Lois and Clark, in which they had a similar kind of episode, a cult kind of thing, which just, I didn't like the...
there were some things in that episode. What's interesting about that episode to me is it's a kind of a lot of things that happened in season 10 where the episode itself I didn't think was that great, but then it had these scenes that were just monumental. And so it elevated the whole episode so much. I did find Harvest at times to be a little hokey, but I enjoy watching it over and over and over again.
Right. What was your worst? Because you gave us your best, but you didn't give us your worst, did you?
Mine was Booster, yeah.
Oh yeah, you gave that one. Yeah, Booster. Yep.
Right, okay. Lisa, best and worst.
Worst episode is Collateral.
Which one was that one again?
That's when they were in the virtual reality.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was weird. Okay.
It was weird. It was kind of like The Matrix, but...
Yeah, The Matrix is way better, so that was just weird.
It was not a very well done Matrix.
No, it wasn't.
There's a lot of not very well
done it certainly wasn't my favorite, but there were some things that I liked about it.
And now for season 10, it's like Homecoming or Finale.
Yeah.
Finale, Homecoming, Finale. All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm the I'm the odd duck here because my favorite episode is not any of your guys's. Mine is Homecoming. Like, to me, not only is it my favorite episode of season 10, it is my favorite of the whole show.
I love Homecoming, yeah.
I know, I'm not saying that.
Homecoming, you said that.
I know that. I know you love it. I'm just saying, like...
I hate that of all the people they could bring back, they bring back Bug Boy. That makes no freaking sense.
None of it makes sense. But let's put it aside for a second. Let's just put it aside and let's examine the episode. The episode goes back to our other most pivotal episode of the whole show, which is another one of our universally favorites, the one where Jonathan Kent dies. What I love about this episode is, Clark has been getting emo, right? He's been getting emo. He's been carrying a whole bunch of stuff, getting a little bit over dramatic. We see him lighten up a little bit in season 8 and 9 as he's falling in love with Lois. But now finally, somebody has the stones to walk him back in time and show him this is the root of what you're feeling and why you're feeling it. He made a choice to protect you and defend you. You can't hold on to this and make it all your fault. What I love about it, though, is Clark seeing the best and the worst of his life, but learning to move on. And by the end of it, he literally becomes so weightless that he floats, dancing with Lois. So I
talk about being on cloud nine.
Yes.
I mean, literally.
So
How
I love
awesome
it.
Is that?
Now, even though I don't like that it's Bug Boy, and I'm not going to argue with you about it being Bug Boy, what I love about the scene, so if we could just take out the villain that they chose, because you're right, it makes no sense because he turned into a million bugs. If we could take that out, the essence of what they're communicating there is Clark's influence is so far reaching that even a villain that he came up against is now a new person because of Clark. And so for Clark to see that type of influence and then to learn that he's let the past weigh him down and he's held on to his fear of the future and to have that preview of his future was one of the most incredible episodes ever. I love that episode. Least favorite is Harvest. It is dumb. It might have some good moments, but it's dumb. There's enough said. It's a dumb episode.
See, so my memory's not too bad then. It's not too
shabby.
It's dumb. It's not too shabby on the old. Yeah.
There's some fun Lois and Clark stuff.
Maybe
there's a reason
Harvest
that's stuck in there. There's a reason that's stuck in there as being the worst.
It's filler.
So.
It doesn't serve a lot of purpose other than it's the episode right after Lois found out Clark was the Blur. And so there's fun, interesting discussions now of like this new dynamic now that she knows who he is. So it does have a few light, fun moments like that, but as a whole, it's just not even
well,
worth it.
It's more than that, though. It's also the fact that Clark tries to be overprotective, and this was Lois saying, no, you can't be. And that was that's the whole problem he had with Lana. So I think that is really important, actually.
But
There's
it's
a
also
lot
why I
of
love
really
Homecoming.
important things that happen among a somewhat wacko story.
And I won't deny the important things
and
that
it
happen,
ends with
right?
them having sex, which is also a huge...
Right.
And also Lois removed the sword from Clark as well.
Right.
Yeah, there was...
I don't deny that there are important things, but that's where I say that's where Smallville got good at having a bad episode, but shoving important things into it. So there are some good things in it and really important things that do carry things forward. But I did not like any of that weird.
It was a really
town
important character development story. But yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah. Okay, right. That's it. We have discussed all 10 seasons. All that is left is for us to reveal which is apparently the based purely on averages. Purely on averages. Clearly, the girls would go for season 9. The boys would go season 5. But if we were to find some common ground based purely on our scores as to which is the best season, then the best season overall of the 10 season run of Smallville.
Let's do this.
Let's
do it.
Season 8.
No.
Which I know for a fact there are now, well, anyone who's watching this who calls themselves a Smallville fan are probably shouting and screaming at the screen.
I'm internally
what drugs
shouting.
We've been smoking.
I like season 8. Yeah. It was fun.
I did.
Last time I went through
really
it.
like season 8.
Not number 1.
I love season 8.
Yeah. No, again, like
it was
I
my
said
number
before,
3.
Yeah,
It.
I know. I really do like season 8. For quite a while, I was a big defender of it when because it came off the bat. Tess Mercer as a character
it's fantastic.
Right from the start, you're dead in the water because you are coming off the back of one of the best character portrayals of a villain ever.
Yeah, 100%.
And that person has gone, and you are the one who has now been brought in to carry that torch. If you don't do something special, then you are screwed. And thankfully, by the time we get halfway through season 8, I adore Tess Mercer. I think she's a great character. I think the actress who plays her does a flipping bang up job. And season 8 has a really good story arc for Davis Bloom. I know they bungle it in the last episode because that fight scene should have been monumental between Clark and Doomsday. But other than that, everything up to it, it was a damn good season. Like I said before, it's just the peaks don't quite peak as high as previous seasons, but the lows don't quite hit the low of previous seasons. It's just really steady.
What's really interesting about that season is I think it's the first season that had a really good solid arc throughout the entire season. Besides the little, I mean, even in the Lana stuff, we had Doomsday stuff.
Yeah.
And then you didn't really get that again until season 9. And season 10 was a little disjointed. Like they lost that a little bit. Darkseid was a weird villain. But yeah, it was almost more like modern television season 8 and season 9 in terms of how you had these season-long villains that really was the focus of most of the season.
Season 8 was great, but then we had those 5 episodes in between.
Which we don't have time to talk about. Okay, so.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Right. Anyway, on that note, after 2.5 hours,
we did it.
We have ranked all 10 seasons. We have talked about our favourite and our least favourite episodes in each season. If you have gotten to the end of this video, first of all, blimey, thank you for watching all of that nonsense. Second, leave your comments down below. Let us know what your favourite and least favourite episodes are from each season. And also, rank the 10 seasons. We want to know how you would personally rank them. See who's been smoking too much crack and who's, got some sense. Right.
And none of us would have ranked it like our community.
No. It's weird how averages work out. Yeah. Big time, especially in this case. Yeah. On that note, thank you for watching. And
thank you.
See you next time.